Good evening, folks. Welcome back to a Wednesday hobby hangout. How is everybody? We've got a few people in the chat already. Let's have a look and see who we've got. Peter coming in nice and early. Peter Nicholas says third. I don't know who was first, mate, because that's not shown on my screen. Arnold was in as well, nice and early. Hello, Arnold. He said Lumineth box, £120, which is €145. That must be for the new EOS box set. I've not seen what models are in that, to be fair, mate. But yeah, we're starting to see them prices creeping up a little bit now. Krabby's in as well. This is oi, I'm actually going to be painting along tonight. Amazing. Hope everyone's safe and well. Nice to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Phil Wilkinson says all the best, bro. Nice to see you, mate. Thank you very much for your Patreon pledge this last week. I think it was this week. David Moffat said time for the dwarfs. You and me both, mate. I've got the dwarfs on the go tonight as well. Arnold says, any idea where I could get my hands on these 4 sets of Warcry cards? Oh, sorry, Tony Howell as well. It says, Cooey, hello, my lovelies. Arnold is after Fire Slayers, Flesh Eater Coats, Iron Jaws, and Bone Splitters. Well, one of them you can write off, mate, because Fire Slayers never came out as a card pack. It was only ever in White Dwarf, because I've got a copy of White Dwarf over there that they were in. So Fire Slayers never came out as a card set. Flesh Eater Coats, Iron Jaws, and Bone Splitters. I just happen to have all 3 of those unopened, as it happens, and I've never played them. So let me have a think. might do a deal, or I might even do a giveaway, since they're so hard to get their hands on now. Tony says I need to check, but Mighty Lancer Games might have some. Yeah, check locally. I think, to be honest, the smaller game stores tend to be the ones that have them in stock, or the ones that don't sort of have a lot of GW players, if you like. Dan Hughes is in as well. Good evening, Dan. How are you doing? Have you been playing with your new camera? How are you finding it? Fat Cat's in as well, saying good evening all. Hope you're all keeping safe. I am. Hope you are too, mate. Stu Noble's in as well. Nice to see you, Stu. Long time no see, mate. I hope you're well. Yoakum's in as well, saying let's paint some minis. Got Mr. Steve Evans in as well. The King of War. The King of War. I was going to say Warhammer. The King of War. No, sorry, the King of Kings of War painting. That's what I was trying to say. Too many kings. Blizzards is in as well. Mr. Trainer guy says dwarves. He's painting his up, slowly doing them to a decent standard. And he wants to do some nice bases. Good stuff, mate. Barry Cliver's in. Standard Tabletop. Nice to see you too, mate. Scott's in as well. This is no painting tonight, but building in progress. Oh, what you building, mate? I'm intrigued now. Steve said, oh, I must have just moved there while I was there looking away from the screen. Where were we up to? That was quick, I moved fast there. 6 in the head, hello mate, how you doing? He says, just eating a pizza, then he's going to be painting. What are you painting, mate? Busey's in as well. Colton Lane says, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon to you, Colton. David Moffat says, dang, are you running in 60 FPS? I think it's 50 SPS, to be fair, mate. I think it's 50. But yeah, I kind of I've been playing around with it, kind of trying to squeeze the best out of it. I've got good enough internet to do that kind of thing. So yeah, nice and clear, eh? Bobby Clark says, hey all. Peter Cummins says, good evening, assembling a Land Speeder Storm. Yes, mate, it's a nice little model, that, isn't it? I built one a long time ago. Scott was first. There you go. I know who it was now. John Estel says he's chilling tonight and not doing any painting. How did the outdoor Warhammer go? Warhammer. I keep saying Warhammer. I've got war in the head now. How did the outdoor Kings of War go, mate? Claudio says, hi everyone. He's so mad right now. 1.5 hours of support and 3D print just gone as I got another mini with his cursor. Clicked to move around and then it crashed. No save. Oh, sorry, mate. Scott's building his Drukhari Hellions. Steve's not painting at the moment, just chopping up his Hero Quest. Chopping up his Hero Quest. Arnold saying, sell them to me. Tim saying, all right there, Andy. Hello, Tim. Dan says he's going to be painting some Journeys into Middle Earth models, but not that game, for a homebrew dungeon crawler. I saw what you've been doing with that dungeon crawler thing. The artwork that thing generated looked really, really nice, to be fair. I've seen worse board games, to be fair, that's for sure. Arnold saying you need to sell them to me. Luke's working on his mini swap. Tim's painting his Conflict 47 Soviets. It's a nice mix of stuff for you, Tim. Dan says he's filmed a few things with the camera. I can control it with my phone. It's amazing, isn't it? I like that as well. When I've got the camera over there and I can kind of sit here and I can adjust the f-stop and I can adjust the ISO and actually see what it looks like on my screen while I'm adjusting all the settings on the camera. It's fantastic, mate, isn't it? I forgot about that bit because I had that on my old camera as well, so it didn't feel like an upgrade to me. We've got... Arnold says the Fire Slayers are in White Dwarf 450. I can't remember the number, mate, but it's definitely on the shelf over there. I'll dig it out later on. Busey says tabletop standard. That's Luke Pryor, mate, if you didn't realise. Will C says excited for Giants, painting some Warcry. Excited for Giants. Giants. Oh, I assume you mean for the beer mat things, whatever they're called. Oddside Dice podcast. Hello, Kieran. It says, hello, hope everyone is ducking the storms. It's calmed down a little bit here, mate, to be fair, but I saw some pictures of Manchester. That was particularly awful. Robin Marshall's in as well, saying hello. Arnold saying they at least printed the same size as... Are they at least printed at the same size as the regular Warcry cards? No, mate. No. Sadly not. No, they're not. Actually, let me think. No, they're definitely not. Oh, hang on, are they? Says yes and says no. You can't cut them out because they printed them on both sides of one page. So you'd have to photocopy them, mate, unfortunately. And then you can rescale them any size you want then. We've got Egon Akim in. Says, hey there. Hello to you, sir. Or to you, lady. I have no idea. I'm making assumptions there. Six in the Head's painting up his Dreadball bits. Nice, mate. Odds Kieran there says he's going to try and salvage some minis he butchered when he was 10. Vincent says he's going to paint some undead. Tony's having a zombie day. The Welsh Wanderer says, hi guys, I'm Dorian. I've never done any war game, but Scott Longworth recommended your channel to me. I've just got back into modelling, starting with Tamiya Mark V Chieftains. Well, first of all, mate, thank you very much for coming over. Scott's a good guy spreading the word there, Dorian. And just because we're painting miniature stuff, don't worry about that, mate. It's somewhere just to kind of hang out and have a bit of a natter. These Wednesday nights, we'll talk kind of about painting things, so you might pick up some bits of tips and stuff like that. But we tend to just have a bit of a ramble while we're sitting hobbying on a Wednesday. So yeah, welcome, mate, and good to see you here. John says it was good playing outside, cold but great to play again. The dice were definitely on his side. First win for the Frogman, even better. Hello, Paul Inman as well. This is now Dead Zone's done. He's working on his human interface. Joe's in as well. He says, hey Andy, hope you're well. Have a good stream. Thank you very much, Joe. Nice to see you as well. Hope you're well. Paul Jones is in. Says, yep. Steve's saying, don't worry, mate. Loads of spare Hero Quest FEMA. Not a set of Hero Quest. Rob's got a box of Chaos Space Marines winking at him. Paul says he's not painting, catching up on paperwork. Oh, but at least you've got a nice kind of little rumble in the background for you, mate. Egon says good time to start with Kill Team, coming from Warcry all the way along. A good time. My last couple of streams, mate, have been about Warcry, about Kill Team, sorry. And if you're not the slightest bit at all interested in Warhammer 40k, the main game, and playing it at smaller point sizes, I'd pick up Kill Team if that's what you're interested in. But some of the stuff we're starting to see for the rules of 40k looks like some of the interesting bits from Kill Team are starting to appear in 40k. So if you're going to play like a 500 point game, which is probably maybe double the amount of models that you have in a Kill Team game on double the size of the board, that's maybe potentially a better way to start. But yeah, I would never put anybody off Kill Team, to be fair. If you've got people to play with, then by all means go ahead and play it. And Krabby says, beating Leeds, Bradford and Wakefield today. Weather has been good all day. What does it feel like, me getting out and about? I've not been further than the bloody supermarket, to be fair, in the last 3 months. Anyway, let's get onto the table and we'll start the painting today. So as you can see, let me just put a bit of extra light on the situation here. Well, I'll just tilt that down so it's not shining in my face, and we'll put that over there. Yeah, as you can see, I've got a couple of. So I think this was the last thing I painted for my Kings of War Army. I painted this quite a few weeks ago. This is my steel Juggernaut. So I've just got it on here just for a bit of colour reference. So it's been a little while since I've painted anything. And I might have to just turn that brightness down a little bit. Give me a second. There we go. It's grey and white on the background at the minute. So this is my Stone Priest. So we'll be putting a little bit of paint on him today. And then I've also got my Dwarf King as well. So we'll be kind of working on these two tonight. So we'll make a start. by saying welcome to Dorian there. He says there are historical modelers and wargamers here too. Yeah, it's just a good mix, to be fair, in here, isn't it? If you're kind of new here, then basically, I mean, the channel is about tabletop gaming, to be fair, but the Monday night live streams, we always have a main topic, but then the chat goes wherever people want it to go, to be fair. And then Wednesdays are much more kind of just a bit of a community hangout, really. So we'll be chatting about games and painting and hobby and that kind of stuff. But more times than enough, we end up rabbiting about what we're watching on TV. I think last time we were talking about all the bands that we'd been to see, like first concert and first album or CDs and stuff that people had bought, all that kind of stuff, really. So it's like hanging out with your mates while you're doing a bit of hobby, so you're not just sitting there on your own. Or it's like listening to a podcast that you can interact with. Think of it like that. So yeah, no matter what you're doing, mate, hobby wise, you are more than welcome. Where else are we at? Egon is saying, thank you very much. Totally interested in 40k, so we'll give that a try. Yeah, I think we're not particularly very far away now from the new version of 40k 9th edition. I'm assuming from what I'm kind of hearing on the underground is that I think end of do you know what, I haven't got any tissue with me. End of July, I think, on middle to end of July, we should start we'll see it, I think. Let me just nip across and get some tissue paper because I forgot to set that up tonight. So yeah, I think middle to end of July we should see that, and no doubt I think in the next couple of weeks we'll see that the pre-orders go live. But the announcements on the Warhammer community site that they've been releasing over the last couple of weeks have been kind of teasing a few more of the rules to us. I think today was about Overwatch. They're doing away with Overwatch how it currently is, which means it's now cost you a stratagem, a command point to do an Overwatch, and let me just, yeah, it now costs you a command point to do Overwatch, and it also can only be done once per phase. So that's going to kind of tone that back a little bit, I think. Anyway, so yeah, if you're interested in 40k, mate, I'd potentially hold off on Kill Team at the minute and wait and see what we get. Bit of chat. Steve saying, love that Stone Priest model. Yeah, I quite like it too, mate. I quite like it too. I think once I get some paint on it, it won't look so stark against the background. So we'll start getting some paint into it now. But yeah, I quite like it too, mate. It's just quite a nice pose for an old metal one. I think it's one of like quite the old ones as well, but it's really nicely sculpted. So yeah. Sean Blake's in as well. Hello, Sean. Says sweet. William says those look really good. The new Mantic Minis are second to none. The new ones are pretty good. Some of the old ones are a bit ropey. I don't mind saying that, and I think anybody would agree with that as well. They were a bit hit and miss. But these are actually some of the older ones, and these are metal as well. But yeah, it's a nice model. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, let me just get a bit more comfy here. Tuck my elbows in, get myself comfy. Yoakum saying, which is your... Oh, hello, William Jones as well. I don't know if I say hello to you, mate. Yoakum says, which is your White Dwarf had the Fire Slayer cards in? Maybe I can get a hold of the issues in one of my hobby stores. I'm not sure, Yoakum. I must admit, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's on my shelf over there, so I'll dig it out at some point. And I'll give you the number. If I had access to a photocopier, mate, I would photocopy them and send them over, because I could obviously take a picture of them on my phone or something, but the quality's not going to be very good for printing out or anything. But if I had access to copy them, I would copy them that way. But I don't have like a scanner or anything like that at home. Sean's cleaning the shop while he listens as well. Well, what a nice way to kind of have a little bit of background, mate. A little bit of tidy shop, tidy mind there. Scott says, I've warned him the Wednesday one can get quite funny. Yeah, it's nice just to have those bits of rambles on a Wednesday, isn't it? Whoops, there's me throwing my brush around. Just seeing there, Lucian worth a fortune when he's dead. Paul Jones says, reminds me of my old Warhammer Dwarf army. Yeah, they've definitely got. I mean, I think around the time that these were sculpted, I don't think Kings of War was even a thing, to be fair, at that point. So I think they really were kind of designed as low cost Warhammer miniatures back then. I mean, this model must be probably almost 10 years old or something like that. John Estel says Ronnie made sure the dwarves were always up to scratch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he only I think he only started Mantic to get himself a nice dwarf army made for himself. He's actually, I was just chatting to him online the other day. He's been an absolute beast with the painting lately, considering he pretty much like took forever to paint his dwarf army. He's been making the most of lockdown, that's for sure. So yeah, they've got the Mantic guys have got their big Kings of War battle, haven't they, on Saturday, which they're live streaming, I think, from Mantic. So be something to tune into if you want something to listen to on a Saturday while you're doing a bit of hobby. Or hopefully the weather's nice and you can have a barbecue and sit outside and listen to it. Family fun for everyone. I'm sure everyone would love a bit of that. Scott says trying to get the Welsh Wanderer into war games. So I'm guessing by the fact that you're picking up, you've got it was a chieftain tank, I think you said there, didn't you? Maybe something like the more military games, like World War II type games, might scratch your itch in that case. Although to be fair, sometimes if you've been, I'm assuming you know Scott through. I don't know if you said, but maybe you used to serve with him as well. Maybe the last thing you want is more military stuff. Maybe you want a break from that and have something sci-fi or fantasy or something like that. Even, I mean, to be fair, when I got into this hobby many moons ago, I got into it purely just to paint stuff. It was just a hobby, really, just something to relax and just to chill to. So, yeah, you don't even have to necessarily get into the gaming side of things. But yeah, everybody's welcome here. As long as you're friendly, you are welcome. Yeah, White Dwarf 451, which is February this year. There you go. There's the information that you need. Probably saying Adobe Scan app is free and will work perfectly. I've not even heard of that, mate, to be fair. But yeah, if that works and I can help out, I certainly will. My wife bought me a White Dwarf subscription for Christmas, so that's why I've got all the White Dwarfs, to be fair. It's quite nice just to look at the pictures, to be fair. There's something quite nice about not having my phone out, sitting having a cup of coffee and having to flick through a White Dwarf. I think print media, when it comes to magazines, especially on wargaming, they must be pretty much on their last legs now, to be fair, but there's something quite nice about reading a White Dwarf rather than just looking at all the online articles and things. I don't know why I'm nostalgic for a bit of print, but it's quite nice. And it was a nice thing when you don't know what to buy somebody for Christmas. Getting a subscription to the magazine was a nice gift, because it's one of those things I would never probably do myself, but as a gift, it's a lovely thing. Where are we up to? Mr. Trainer Guy is saying he's highlighting the Dwarf Warsmith, also using one of his new army painted brushes, better than the ones I've used before, as well as being a similar price. I must admit, when I kind of, like I say, when I first started and I was painting, I used to just use the cheapest brushes I could find, or I used Games Workshop brushes, and over time I kind of upgraded, and when I started to buy better brushes, even not particularly expensive ones, excuse me folks, I'm going to probably take this one off camera a little bit. Oh no, actually I might be able to keep it on. I just need to get it closer to my face because his face is quite small. I did notice a bit of a lift in my painting. Now it might have been because my old brushes were absolutely goosed, or it might have just been that actually the brushes actually did give me a bit more brush control, better points, that kind of stuff. But either way, I definitely saw a lift in my painting. when I bought myself some decent brushes. I think you just find they just keep a point better. So you end up just being able to control the brush a bit better. Paul said he stopped playing around 2000 when he left school and discovered beer and women. I was never really into it. I think most people do, mate, to be fair, but I was never really into it that much when I was younger. For me, it was more something that I got into like as an adult. And I've said this a few times, basically, but it was something to switch off and relax when I got home from work. I had young twins at home, busy with work and travelling with work and stuff. And so it was nice just to switch off when I finished work for the day. So yeah, so I painted Warhammer minis purely because I don't think I even knew at that point that anything else really existed. It was just by walking past the Games Workshop store that I kind of remembered them from being a kid. Peter Cooman says maybe Team Yankee from Modern Military. Yeah, potentially, mate. Tim Kelly says, is the whole battle being shown on Saturday? I thought it was just the highlights on Facebook. I'm not sure, mate. I got the impression, maybe it's not the whole thing then. My assumption was that they were just going to stream it or whatever. Just switch a camera on and let it stream. But maybe they're not, mate. I could be wrong. Because I don't know how they're going to... I don't know how they'd film highlights unless they're... It'd be a bit stop-start, I suppose, wouldn't it? Anyway, we'll see what they do. So much for social distancing. We're trying to get four of them around the table. Steve says the Stone Priest is one of the newer metal ones. Oh, it's the King maybe I'm thinking of, mate. Yeah, the King's one of the early ones. Although to be fair though, the King's really nice quality as well. Scott said he's a friend from Wild Camping. Sorry, mate, I thought he said you'd served. Welsh Wonder says didn't serve, mate, but did apply for the Royal Armoured Corps, but didn't get in. Hence me choosing a tank to start modelling. Hoping to do a diorama for it, but thank you for the welcome. You are welcome, mate, honestly. Yeah, diorama stuff. There's plenty of folks in here who just kind of enjoy a bit of painting, a bit of diorama building and stuff. So, yeah, it's just nice to have a bit of background, isn't it? Just to hang out to, mate. Cool, so there's a bit of skin tone on that. Scott's saying there's some free bolt action minis on War Games Illustrated this month. Yeah, I think it's... I think it might have been you mentioned that in the Patreon group, mate, hadn't you? I think that's where I'd heard that. Phil Buttonson says he's also subbed to White Dwarf. Yeah, it's quite nice just to read it, mate. Luke's in these local news agents, the copies of miniatures War Game and the various others always sell quick. So I don't think it's as bad as you think. Certainly a declining industry though. I think like War Games Illustrated and stuff are almost kind of aimed at an older demographic, if you like. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe aimed at a slightly older demographic who probably don't, not too fussed about internet stuff. Probably just, excuse me, they're probably just discovering forums now. Tim's saying, yeah, that's the only reason I pick up War Games Illustrated and other mags like that. Yeah, there is something quite nice about just sitting with a cuppa, flicking through the pages, and sometimes reading the articles, but more times out of 10 it's like a picture book to me. Scott's saying the board Ronnie has built is beautiful. It is quite nice. I'm not a huge fan of those individual kind of 1 foot square tiles, but he has done a hell of a good job of it. David saying first minis were the Ral, Patha and Grenadier. Or Partha, sorry. Obsessed with them in his early teens. Had no idea Warhammer existed till the late 90s. Yeah, I was basically, and I've said this loads of times, I apologise, I repeat myself, but basically I had a mate whose older brother painted Blood Bowl minis, and that was my first introduction to it. And I had a cousin who played like Napoleonics and kind of American Civil War stuff. So I kind of knew they existed, but it wasn't until I got older and I kind of like saw them in Games Workshop window that I thought, that would be quite nice just to sit and paint. Little did I know I'd end up here today doing this. All those years ago. Funny how things work out. So yeah, this is I'm just trying to keep the colours pretty consistent across my dwarf range. I've got a picture of the dwarf priest here, just so I can so the stone priest, sorry, so I can try and see what all of the different bits are, because it's not, there's like a lot of cloth and boots and things. It's hard to know what's meant to be what, especially when it's all just primed this kind of light white colour as well. This like ghost grey. It's actually quite difficult to see what everything is. I think that one goes all the way down to his feet. So we'll just carry on with this. Probably seen he's painting a flaming sword currently. Have you painted any fire weapons before? I haven't, mate. Actually, I don't think. I think that the thing that everybody always gets wrong is they think you start dark and highlight up lighter. But when you're painting fire weapons or flames, it's the opposite. You want to start light in the middle and then like dry brush highlight darker. So because actually the hottest part of a flame is the whitest part, so which would be in the center. So yeah, so to do it the opposite way to the way your head tells you. You don't want to start dark and highlight lighter. You want to start light and kind of darken it down, or start dark and highlight in so the center bit's lighter. And always kind of remember as well, if you're doing like flames, remember the kind of the black sooty bits. It really seems to set it off. If you just do like dry brushes of kind of reds, oranges and yellows, you'll get a good effect. But if you really do a light, I mean really light, like sort of black dry brush at the end, it gives that kind of sooty look to it at the end. So here's me giving all these tips out, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, no, I've never painted them. I have done like lava bases before, and lava bases work on a kind of similar principle, but it's because of the heat. So I wasn't completely clueless. Let's have a look. Jonathan Wyborn, hello Jonathan, says lit and distracted by painting. Yeah, that makes two of us, mate. Peter Cooman says, older demographic, I'm younger than you, lad. I think what I was kind of hinting at was that some of the war games magazines are very much kind of aimed at like historical gamers, or people that play sort of lesser known kind of games, to be fair, which is kind of weird really, considering you think that they'd be trying to appeal to a wider audience. But it's very rare you'd see something in them from like, let's say, Privateer Press or Mantic or Infinity Games or anything like that. They all tend to be like Too Fat Lardy stuff or bit of Warlord at best, but a lot of kind of historical things. And that's what I meant by older demographic. Sorry, I got carried away there. Everybody's younger than me, mate. Hello, Tony Boovleiden. How are you doing as well, mate? Barry Klebber says, being old is better than the alternative. I'm not so sure. My aching bones in the morning would tell me otherwise. So hang on, I've got my beer tonight, folks. Oh, one thing while I remember as well, I got some feedback in the comments of my last video that said that there was loads of rustling coming from my microphone. So he says, just moving it. So please do tell me if it's annoying or anything. Obviously, I can't hear it because I'm not listening to the sound coming out of the microphone. So I'm not fiddling here. I'm just moving the wire from the cable. Luke's in there. You're absolutely correct about the target audience for most of the magazines. Far more historical focus. Yeah, that's what I meant. 20 saying, what are these newfangled forum things from which you speak? Encouraging, who's Games Workshop? Exactly. It's Warhammer now. Warhammer. Davidson used to dream of being good enough to paint minis, so at least some dreams do come true. I think I was, when I first started painting them, I honestly I thought it can't be that hard. Look how brilliant all those ones in the window will look. You know, it's just paint. How bad can it be? And I was a decent kind of artist and stuff when I was younger. I did like graphic design at school and stuff, and was quite a decent kind of artist and stuff. But yeah, painting minis was a different kettle of fish. Yeah, Yoakum says, woohoo! They got issues left of 451. These hobby store. Guess I'm going to pick up some Fire Slayer cards. Nice one, Yoakum. David says contrast paints are pretty great for flame weapons. You can get some nice blending. I've not tried too many. I've got a few. I'm talking like 3 or 4 contrast paints. But yeah, a certain I won't say who it is in case he doesn't want me to say it. But yeah, there's a certain member in the chat tonight who's going to be sending me some because he doesn't really want to use them. He doesn't like them too much. So I'm looking forward to giving them a real good kind of testing out. Jonathan saying that you own the original box for Warhammer, a dwarf boat under attack by Slan, standees included. Wow. Peter says we don't get older but wiser. Well, some of us do. Yeah, exactly, mate. I'm not scared. I'm not getting any wiser, that's for sure. I think I'm just getting there. What am I getting? I think I care less what people think. So I guess that potentially you could say that is me getting wiser. I don't really care what people think anymore now. Everybody else is having a bit of a rabbit with each other there. So Dan says he's using more and more contrast paints these days. Yeah, I've always been meaning to kind of pick them up, to be fair. Obviously with lockdown and stuff. I hate buying paints online. I hate the idea of paying a fortune for postage for 2 or 3 little pots of paint. So I've kind of been waiting for the shops to reopen, really. So that's what I've been kind of hanging for. But yeah, I fully intend to really give them a good try, really. I want to try them over Zenithal Primes. I want to try them as like a base coat and then almost use the fact that it's telling me where the high spots are to use them to kind of to paint up from and highlight from. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving them a bit more use, because I have seen some lovely paint jobs with them. But I mean, I wouldn't say they're not high end, if you like, potentially. But then my painting isn't high end. I think my personal painting style is done, but done to a standard I'm happy with, really. So I could just base coat it, wash it, and be done, really, which I have done in the past. But I'm trying to use more kind of color contrast and really pushing kind of almost comic book style highlights on them, just because I find that I like the look of them on the tabletop. I like the way they stand out a little bit. So I'm not trying to get like ultra realistic or anything like that. It's more about just getting it so it looks good from 3 feet, as they say. And I find by pushing the contrasts, like really going almost like sort of comic book with the highlights, it just it accentuates that, and it can sometimes make an average job look much better and look much more eye-catching, especially when you've got like a full army. Like I'm really proud of how my dwarves have come out as an army, because they're not super high quality finish, but they look really, really nice as a cohesive force together. Krabby saying tabletop standard, maybe. Tabletop standard doesn't exist. Only your personal standard, mate. Only your personal standard. Yeah, just get them cut little bits that I missed on the back. Well, this is kind of painting itself tonight, folks. It's not going to take too long, is it? Right, let's pop a bit of, let's give me his ginger hair. Now what do I normally use? I think I actually use quite a bright orange, a Troll Slayer orange for the hair, and then I kind of wash it down with an Agrax wash, which kind of takes the intense brightness out of it. So yeah, when you see it, don't go, oh Jesus, what's he done? It will darken down, I promise. I'll tell you what, I think my painting has improved purely by doing these live streams, because what it's made me do is it's made me sit down every week, and at the very least I'm getting like a painting session in on a weekly basis. It's making me finish stuff, which in the past I'd get sidetracked and want to do something different. So the challenge things I've been doing, the Dead Zone challenge and the Kings of War challenge, and then painting stuff for to do like film reviews and stuff, that's been forcing me to finish stuff. So I tend to paint more than once a week because I'm finished. I've finished the things that I start on these streams. But the other stuff is it's making me kind of like set up a painting area. Like I'm using like my wet palette and stuff that I got into the habit of not using it. I got into the habit of just painting from the lids and like mixing a bit of water into the lid. I just got used to kind of being lazy about it, really. So I think my painting's actually improving purely on the fact that I'm just getting more practice in, really. David saying the first thing he tried to paint was a model car with a brush on tester's enamel. It was pretty atrocious. I think the first things I ever painted, I remember, I was painting kind of like Blood Bowl minis and stuff like that, which I picked up from like a local toy shop on a Saturday, shopping with my mate. But yeah, I was just picking up the paints that I remember getting the little Humbrol paints, things that I must have had from like Airfix kits and stuff like that. And yeah, they were absolutely atrocious. I stripped some of my Hero Quest minis back a little while ago, and I couldn't believe just how much garbage was covered on them. God knows, it looks like I used emulsion paint as an undercoat. I have no idea what that was. I mean, it stripped off, thankfully, but I've got no idea what I'd been using. So, yeah. Dancing mainly as a base coat and then do a bit of highlights. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try and do more often, mate, to be fair. Peter says I just paint over my mistakes. So I've been painting a squad of RTB01s for 25 years. Peter says you just become a better dancer. Wait till I get to 10,000 subscribers, mate. Then you'll see it. Then you'll see my dancing. I might even get lessons for that one. I've got some time though, so I'm all right. I've got time to practice a dance. If I'd known it was going to get turned into a oh, I'm forgetting it. I'm forgetting he's got a bald head. So I'm starting to paint orange on his head now. We'll go back and we'll touch that up. Of course he's bald, he's a dwarf. So we're just painting those rather bushy eyebrows there. And get his beard around this side. Now the reason I'm painting the beard is kind of this kind of bright orangey ginger. It's just because I've done it on all of my dwarf. I've almost kind of done it as if it's like a trait of this particular dwarf army, and they all have the same colour hair. And it's just another spot colour that seems to just kind of pull them all together coherently. I think if I'd started to mix hair colours, it kind of gets distracting from that ranked up kind of army thing. So Barry saying, yeah, you don't have to worry about getting wiser. No chance of that. But wider. Yeah, getting wider, that's definitely what it is. We got Stocky in as well. He's saying the football's on. Yeah, football's back, folks, eh? I was just looking at the fixtures tonight just to see which ones were on like sort of terrestrial TV, because I think the BBC have got some games, and I think Amazon have got a few games as well, to be fair. So I might watch the odd game. I tend not to watch a lot of football. I just don't like. I used to love going to the games. To like with I had a season ticket for my local team, and I used to love going to the games. But it was more about like going with my mates and having a bit of like a day out and stuff. Really, the football was almost secondary. So I lost interest in the actual football itself. Or at least I did when you follow a team like I follow, which is so bad. Scott says, did you hear the local game store isn't opening for games yet? I didn't, mate. Have they changed their mind again now? I wonder if these had a bit of feedback. Everybody else seemed pretty happy about it, but I was a bit like, oh. I wonder what was the trigger for that then, mate. I wonder if somebody's told them we shouldn't be doing it. I just found it really strange, mate, that everybody else seemed to be opening for business to sell stuff, but not to play games. I thought it was strange when he was putting tournaments in, like for the end of June and stuff. So, David says, so far I like them best over different Zenithal primes. That's kind of where I want to do. I've bought the odd couple of paints really for specific jobs I've been doing. So it's not like it's like, as an example, let me get the grey, because the grey looks really good as a stone. So I'm going to use this grey one, and the grey one goes over really nice as a. So let me just, and this is straight from the pot. I'm not thinning this out because I don't have any of the medium stuff to thin it. And I'm just going to paint it onto the hammer head. This is some nice little kind of like sort of details kind of carved into it. This goes on quite nice. There's a nice mold line that I'm not really giving much care about. Never mind the mold lines. I'll just come around here. So you can see there where it kind of runs into the recesses and stuff. I actually quite like it as for certain effects. So that's the idea really, as Dan was saying as well, using them like as a base coat or something. I like to kind of just, I don't think I'd necessarily want to do like a whole miniature in just contrast paints. It's more about using them almost like as a technical paint to give a different effect for certain things. But yeah, as I get more colours and more vibrant colours, because the ones I've got are things like I've got the skin, the Gulliman flesh, and I've got the black one and stuff like that. It's so I haven't really got any kind of like sort of brighter colours. So that's what I'm looking forward to giving them a bit of a go. So we'll also paint this rook stuff as well. Actually, I tell you what, I might use a decent brush for this bit, because I'll just use this is just my crappy kind of mixing brush. So here's a bit of a tip, folks. Just get an old brush and use that to take the paint out your pots or whatever, or to mix them on your wet palette. Don't use the brushes that you're painting with. Otherwise, you get them furred up into the ferrules and stuff like that as well. So just use the brush that you paint with to paint with. Just a smudge of dropping on my nice white paper there. Just get in here and these bits of cork and stuff. So I just thought I'd raise these ones up because they're so small. As a miniature, because obviously one, it's a dwarf, and two, it's a stone priest, so he's really he's in the aura of control in my earth elementals, which are quite big models. I just wanted to kind of raise him off the ground a little bit, and the idea of him kind of standing on some kind of rock or something like that, being a stone priest, seemed good, sort of to fit well. So we'll just get that on, get it down into the crevices. Where are we up to? Everybody's talking about tabletop standard. No, I don't mean tabletop standard. Jonathan saying the orange contrast is incredible. If I were to buy one, it would be that or grey. Yeah, like I say, I mean they're not that cheap either, which is like, to just try them out. They're not particularly kind of cheap really, so that's why I've just bought the odd one when I've wanted to do a specific job with them. But yeah, we'll get to try them out soon. Johnson, he'd been in contact with trading standards throughout, and they'd said in the end, no gaming yet. Yeah, I did find it a little bit strange that he seemed to be the only one that had kind of thought that gaming was okay, but looks like it's being pushed back now anyway. So that gets the basis of that one. I think we might just get a little bit more into some of these gaps and things. Some of the bits in the centre here. Let's run some in. So what's everybody been up to then, folks? Has everybody been back out to the shops now that they're opening back in the UK? Must admit I haven't. I've not been anywhere across the doors yet. I went for a walk down the beach, so I had my intention to have a day off yesterday. Kind of lasted a few hours. So yesterday morning I decided to get up and have a shower, and as I normally do. No, I don't normally have a shower, but I got up, I had a shower, and then I drove down to the beach and went and bought a cup of coffee on the seafront and had a walk along the beach and stuff, and then came home, and then instantly felt like I needed to get some work done, so got my paints back out and got cracking on with some more stuff that I've been doing for filming later. So yeah, it didn't last very long, but I did have a couple of hours off, which was quite nice. So I had a walk along the seafront yesterday. Luke's saying he's going to get back into a wet palette. Moved away from it because I was painting too irregularly, but now I'm back with a vengeance in the hobby. Yeah, I think potentially that's probably part of what I was doing as well. Maybe I wasn't using it as much as I am. As I kind of. I mean, mine's nothing flash, folks. If I hold it up there, it's a sandwich tub. You know, like one of these, just like a sandwich kind of tub thing, which I think was £1 from Asda when I bought it. It's got one of those. Oh, I've just spilt my contrast paint. Oh, and it's on my mat as well. Let me just mop this up quick. Disaster. Yeah, so and it's got like a sponge in it, you know, like not like Ajax sponges, I forget what they're called now, but that was a bad move, folks, wasn't it? Live on camera. I don't think you got to see it though, did you? Oh, that's pretty much the full pot of grey that went over there. Let me just get some more tissues and stuff. As you can see, that's just a bit of evidence that I'm just mopping all this up. It's all over my hands. But yeah, we can clean up as we go. It's more because it's on my gaming mat. So I've got like a green, like a cutting mat that's down here now, but because I've just knocked it off, flying off the edge, it's gone straight onto my gaming mat. So now it's got a bit of weathering on it. So everybody's seeing Blizzard seeing his first minis, Howling Banshees. Let me just wet that down a little bit. So I'll tell you what I'll do while I'm cleaning this. You don't need to see me clean this. I'll just I'll go back to this main screen while I'm cleaning up, and then we'll crack back on with it. So Barry said he would bet a lot of us started brush painting models with testers and enamels. Yeah, Humbrol, I think was the stuff that we used in the UK a lot, really. Let me just. This must have gone underneath there a little bit. Thankfully, these mats are pretty good, actually. Seems to have cleaned off that not too bad at all. Let's not spill my beer though. I haven't got a lot of beer left. So let me just make sure I clean all this up. Tony's saying definitely practice. You don't need to pay for a pro paint session. You're really rocking it. I think it was more just I always get the impression that like I'm doing some basic stuff like wrong, and I think that was always a case of I wanted to just get pointers in the right direction really, but I think most of the time it was just needed more practice really. So Well, luckily, the one I spilled was the grey one, and the mat's got kind of like, it's like stone and blood all over it anyway. So it seems to have, that's it. So that's on, that is actually the first like kind of big spill that I've ever had. I've never spilled like a pot of wash or anything like that, but yeah, so we'll get them in the bin, shall we? And we'll wash our hands when we're finished. So let's get back on, let's get cracking. Where we at? Right, let me get this back on in the right place now. There we go. Right, we're back rocking and rolling, folks. Let me zoom down a little bit. The Welsh Wanderers just joined as a member as well. Thank you very much, sir. That's very, very kind of you. There we go. It just popped up on my screen. I thought I'd missed it. I could see the little green tab at the top of my screen there. Right, let me go back and see where we're up to. Yeah, there we're up to now. Scott's in the orange contrast works great for ginger hair. Do you know what it is? Oh no, I thought I did. I haven't. I got all sidetracked now because I just spilt that bloody tub of stuff everywhere. What was I about to do? That was what I was about to do. Gawthorpe Brown. Krabby says helps when the local team is giving season tickets away. They weren't when I was buying them, mate. That's for damn sure. 425 quid a year I was paying. Krabby said his Ed Sheeran their Primark. Steve said, I remember in the 80s painting with enamels on lead miniatures and no undercoat. I've heard loads of people talking recently about not needing undercoat on plastic minis these days, and that actually it's only like if it's like a display piece or something like that, like don't worry about it. It would never really occur to me to not do that. Let me just thin this down a little bit. Where were we up to? I just donated €2 there for a new pot. Thank you, Arnold. It will certainly come in handy. It will certainly come in handy, mate. Right, and again, I'm just using this. Move this light back in. So if you're going to spill a tub of paint, at least do it live on the stream. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Paul says, here's an idea. I've got some models you think are painted badly. Put them on eBay and put pro painted and charge twice the price. It's amazing, isn't it? That seems to be a thing. I've often fancied putting some painted models on eBay just to see if they sell. Just not for no other reason than I've got a load of stuff I'll just never use, really. Just to see if they reach anything. Might be a nice little sideline because I don't charge companies for making videos and things. If I ever get a box set review or anything like that, obviously I need to build the minis and I need to play the game and stuff like that, so it's not like I can kind of sell the game afterwards or anything like that, but I'm bound to get some that maybe are not my taste or whatever, or I don't necessarily want to play again. If I've gone to the trouble of building and painting them for the review, it'd be interesting to see if I could kind of make a little bit of money back by selling them on. So, because the other thing I could do is I had thought about giving them away in Patreon, like as a giveaway. If I get games that I'm probably not going to play again, do I use them as another thing in the Patreon? Really, I have a draw every so often to give them away. So I'll consider doing that as well. But at the minute, I'm just, I guess, I don't want to really use that to entice people in, because I'm not getting enough of that stuff to make that a regular thing. But yeah, I think potentially that's what I might do if people don't mind them already being painted, because I like to paint them to show them off, really. Because a lot of channels do reviews and stuff like that, but they don't even build them half the time. They just show them on the screen. What are we up to? Peter says, I suggest you get some lessons from one of the Strictly Pros, so when you reach 10k subs, you can show those dance critics here. Yeah, maybe that's the kind of lessons I need, mate. Tony Tiger's in, painting some Warcry. Excuse me. Stu saying, season tickets at the Sunderland games, were you lonely, mate? When I was going, there was like 45,000 people there. Mike H says, any tips on painting ice like on a GW stone horn? The way I did my stone was, Tony Howell donated through the super chat. Tony, you did not need to do that, my friend, but thank you very much. Was there any comment on it as well, was there? No, just a big thing that says hashtag #1 fan. Thank you, mate. What was it? I painted them white, or kind of like is it called pallid witch flesh or something like that? Like dry brushed them white to kind of pick up on the edges, and then dry brush with a really light dry brush them like pale blue. I've got some over there. I think they're too far away. My microphone won't reach that far. Just to kind of pick them out, and that seemed to work well. I'm sure some of the folks here will give you some really good, some good feedback though. That's not what I want. What do I want to use to paint? Let's use this to paint his belt. We'll go with like a light grey, I think. Jacobson as well says didn't get a dang notification about the live stream. I think YouTube just doesn't like me sometimes. David Moffat says, I hate putting tags on my YouTube videos. Do you think it's really worth it? I'll be honest, mate. I'm not that sure. I think the most important thing is spend time on the thumbnail. Spend time, do a really, really good thumbnail. Sometimes I put more effort in than other times, but yeah, do a really good thumbnail, because at the end of the day, if people don't click on it because it looks dull, then basically it doesn't matter how good your video is, it doesn't matter how good your tags are or anything else, you are absolutely you're almost wasting your time. So thumbnail for me is one of the most important things. So get your thumbnail right. After that, get your title right, because if your title is interesting, that'll get people to click. And then just put a few phrases into it. Like if you go into YouTube and type let's just say Kings of War Dwarfs. That's what we're gonna make a video about, Kings of War Dwarfs. So start typing in YouTube. Start typing Kings of War like dwarfs, and just press the D button, and then see all of the search results that come up in YouTube, and use them as your tags, mate. That's the software you can get that'll kind of help you with what tags to use and all that kind of stuff. Or like you pay monthly subscriptions and stuff for those kind of sites. I think when you're at a different level, when you're pulling in sort of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, it might make a difference. But generally, mate, I probably wouldn't. If it's taking up time, there's better things to spend your time on. There's better things to spend time on that will help your videos better. Peter says, my OCD is kicking in. The Storm Speeders crew has bolt guns, but the scouts I have are armed with pistols and knives. I don't know what to do, mate. I don't know what to do. Well, that was a bit of a blind panic, wasn't it? Is that my camera clicking away? Why is my camera going nuts? Let me am I having one of those nice nights? Hang on a sec, folks. I need to get a focus on something else that's not me. Take my focus. It's ticking away like mad. Give me 2 seconds, folks. Oh, it's been one of them nights here. Right, I'm back. Oh, I should have given up on the paint. It's been one thing after another tonight. Spilling that pot of paint, which seems to have cleaned up all right, to be fair. My camera focus was going absolutely nuts. Oh, right. Let's settle back in. In fact, let's just have a beer for a bit. Right. Matthew says, we only have one local store that does limited casual games, masks required. I've played one game of Dead Zone with a friend in his own home and we talked about COVID beforehand. Dan saying no shopping for him. If I don't need to go out, I'm not going to. It's kind of where I've been, mate, to be fair. It's been out and about for work, though it feels like people are really starting to feel the strain of lockdown now. When I had to drive down to the beach yesterday, obviously kept my distance from everybody, but it definitely feels like it's kind of, feels like lockdown's starting to end or people are treating it like that now. There was a lot of folks around. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of getting to the point now where it's almost each to their own now. I guess you make your decisions and you look after your family basically, don't you now? So, but yeah, I mean, what's it been now? I think there's been like no football for 100 days, so that gives you an idea of how long how long the lockdown's been going on. So I'm just putting some dark brown into this basically, and I'm using this as a base for the gold runes that I'm going to paint on here. The gold always seems to go over really, really nice over the top of a brown base, so that's why it's going to be brown. And I think, oh, actually, we'll do a bit of brown on his hammer as well, because I think we'll paint that gold too, these bits here. So, well, you got the very calm version of me there, folks. if I'd just been sitting painting at home on my own, and I wasn't streaming at the time, and I'd knocked that pot of contrast paint over, you'd have heard me going, oh. But instead, you got the very controlled, oh dear, I've just spilt a full pot of contrast paint over myself. Luke says he's been painting kitchen cupboards and rehanging them today till his back said enough was enough. Got his hobby store, picked up some airbrush bits on Tuesday and Vallejo primers. Yeah, I'm sure other primers work well as well, mate, but I've only ever used Vallejo primers, so it's one of those kind of things where I buy something, it worked. I haven't felt the need to go and buy something different and try and see if that works, if you like. So yeah, I've just kind of, I was going to say I've stuck with Vallejo primers, but to be fair, I'm still using the ones that I bought when I first started, so they last forever. Or they certainly seem to, anyway. Or you could say I don't paint enough miniatures. That's the alternative train of thought. Steve saying his local gaming shop says they won't open for gaming until restaurants can open. I kind of get that, mate. I mean, I know we're saying kind of like social distance and move the tables apart, but at the end of the day, it's a 4-foot width table, and you know yourself when you're kind of playing, you kind of like looking over it and you're like, what's the stats on it? So you're reaching backwards and forwards all the time, aren't you? Paul says there's been forced to go to B&Q count. I think it does. David says, yeah, that's painting pot life. Yeah, that was. Oh, I've just bloody got more on my hands again now, picking it up to show you how much is left. It's because it's caked all over. Do you know, I was surprised that cleaned off that painting mat quite so well, actually. It's quite sticky though, isn't it, contrast paint? It seems to kind of be really sticky on my hands and stuff. So I'll just clean that off there before it seals that pot closed, I think. Tony says, been staying locked in here since everyone else is ignoring safe distancing. I figured that was safer. It's kind of where I've been, mate, to be fair. Yeah, honestly, and there the paint goes. Mike says our local store isn't wearing masks. They're losing business. It's weird, isn't it? David says nothing like spilling a half hour's wage on your table. You are not wrong. I tell you what, mate. It's more like a day's wage when it comes to YouTube. Actually, it's not. It's probably like a week's wage. YouTube ad revenue is not very financially rewarding, shall we say. If it wasn't for you good folks, donations and Patreons, I certainly wouldn't be able to do this as a job for relying upon ad revenue, that's for sure. Yeah, if you're going to do it live on stream, that's the way to do it. John Francis in as well. Says, good evening all. Bit late, but here now. That's all right, mate. Welcome aboard. Kevin says, it's because you wiped the dot earlier. The contrast wanted camera time. That's what it was, mate. David says, I spilled most of my Blood Angels red the first time I tried out contrast. That's the first time I've ever spilled a pot of paint. Like, be that like a wash or anything like that. And it was because I'd left it open while I was working, and I was showing you the paint palette, wasn't it? That's what I was doing. I was about to do this and show you that. Just peel the corner back. Let me just get the. That's what I was about to do. So I just got one of those kind of cleaning. There we go. One of those cleaning sponges. Just cut the size, and then just some baking paper or greaseproof paper, whatever the hell it is, parchment paper. Peter says spilling paint is one thing. Every time I type something in the danger of knocking my beer over. Gold Grunter was the first spill. Yes, all right, I'm catching up now. So Welsh Wanderer just joined as a member. Thank you very much, Welsh Wanderer. Scott saying Peter says paint spill, one of us. Scott says, anyone that's seen a TT Combat are now doing neoprene mats? I hadn't seen that, mate. I'll have to have a look. £40 for a 6x4. That's not bad actually if the designs are nice. I think I paid 60 something quid for this one, and it comes from like Poland or something, so the shipping's awful as well. Vincent says, currently painting the Reaper Bones under Archer. I wish the Warboat of Carver would give him a model range attacks the same value it has an attack stat, so I'd use him as a Revenant King. But the bow, use him Army Standard Bearer. David said, I learned recently that Lowe's Canada hardware store did a video say, I just saw that not too long ago, mate, actually. Like with using their wood and stuff to make a board, wasn't it? Colton says, do you play The Walking Dead All Out War anymore? I do, mate, to be fair. More for like my own kind of enjoyment, really, rather than actually for any, like for film and stuff. But I plan to change that soon. So I think what I'll do is, I think when the new compendium comes out from Mantic, so basically what they're doing is they're bringing out a Walking Dead All Out War like compendium book, which is pulls all of the rules into one place. I think I might pick that up and I might kind of revisit Walking Dead again. Right, bit of Agrax going on to this, folks. As you know, I'm a big fan of just when it comes to these armies, getting them done quick. So what you'll see is it'll look absolutely awful because I'm just basically coating the thing in Agrax. But what I'll do is, as it starts to kind of settle, I'll wick it away and move it around. So it's more just kind of filling in the shadows and filling in the little bits I haven't quite touched yet. So if you see here on the back of the neck, just behind his ear, you'll see that there's a bit of white, and there's maybe a tiny little bit down there as well. So I'm just running it into there. You can see there's way too much on there at the moment. So I'll just start moving it into his hair and stuff down this arm. And then I'll come in there and just start to wick it away and put it elsewhere. And put it over there. So yeah, so I'll kind of do this. And then once that's dried off, we'll come in and we'll start to highlight it back up. But this just is, it's almost just like, almost like black lining really. I'm just giving a little bit of depth to it. It's a really, really quick way to give a bit of depth. I mean, you can kind of pick out the areas that you want to do it on rather than covering the whole model. But I tend to find that sometimes it gives me kind of two different types of finish, that's all. So when it's come to these Kings of War ones, this is the way I've done the whole army. So it just keeps them consistent, really. So you know, we'll get in here. We're getting around the back there. See around the back of the ear there, it's a little bit dark, so I'll just pull that away a little bit. Put some into the hair. Make sure I don't miss any bits, because you don't. That's one thing you don't want to do, is miss any bits. It just gives a bit of depth to the face. You see how it's kind of pulled. Let me just move this light back a little bit. You can see how it's kind of pulled into the hair and stuff. So the plaits down the back and things, it's really kind of picked them out. And just like around his beard and around his eyes, it's kind of picked them out. And you can see where it's kind of a little bit thick on there, so I'll just kind of smooth that out a little bit. So yeah, it's just a really quick way of kind of base coat and wash, really. And we'll put some over the basin here as well, just to, so that when we come to dry brush out, I mean, we'll get some snow on the base for this one to match the rest of the army. But again, this just helps to kind of blend it in a little bit. So I'm all about trying to do especially when I'm doing a big army. It's different if I'm doing sort of 2 or 3 models for like a war band type thing or something like that, or doing specific kind of bigger scale stuff. But for these, I want them to look nice as a whole army, really, like not necessarily as individual minis. And if I spend too much time on kind of my hero models, they probably end up looking out of place because I've compared to my other stuff. So, David's saying, so I'm now on the hunt for plastic backed drop cloths. What a lot of people do is they use those plastic like tablecloths, you know, like what you get for like kids like doing hobby stuff. Pop them down. Thank you, Tony, for that donation. Krabby says, never have someone had a 45,000 crowd. Definitely have, mate. Definitely have. Many times. I think it was 40. Is it a 49,000? Is it 48,000? They actually had 40,000 on Boxing Day this year, or was it the year before? If you watch Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix, they show you last season they had on Boxing Day there was something like 46,000 people there, and that was in Division 1, mate. Starting the tabletop, he's been getting the email and the notification for the live stream, so it is working for some people in there. VJ saying, Andy throwing down some YouTube knowledge. And David saying, thanks, that makes sense for the tags. Good morning, VJ. VJ said, got to catch up on it later, I just woke up. Pusey saying, that's the bit. I wish it was, mate. I wish that's what it had been. Tony said, I just saw the fan bit, I didn't see the number 1 bit. I'm happy with the number 1 fan bit, don't you worry about that. VJ, I see Andy sorted out the super chat text at the bottom of the screen. I have no idea why it had gone off, mate. It was showing that it was on the other day, but it just wasn't showing up at all. But it seemed to be fine once I'd reset the PC. Peter says, I started assembling the... Tony says, I heard the real Andy in my head. Peter says, I started just assembling the Storm as intended with bolters. That's the way, mate. Busey says, 200mm Vallejo Prime is great value. Never seen it go down. Yeah, that's what it is, mate. Krabby says, bet your hands have a great tonal variation of a single coat though, mate. It's actually not too bad, to be fair. Oh, there we go. Not too bad. It's kind of on my fingertips. There, where are we at? Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, not too bad. I managed to grab my tissue and grab the worst of it. Peter says, first paint spill I ever had was a chestnut ink on a chair. Looked like I shot it. Vijay says, so party people, I now have core PDF escalation. I thought you didn't like Dead Zone, mate. I thought you didn't like the dice, the cube mechanic. Plan to order a cube mat and the dice. Anything else I need for Dead Zone? No, I don't think so, mate. Card terrain, D8, Veerman. Yeah, the dice basically, your command dice. That's probably the only thing I would say. Yeah. John Nestle says 1 solid kill for your dwarfs already. Dwarfs 1, contrast paint nil, 100%. Tokens he's saying as well. Paul's saying his paintwork's done. Nice one. Tony's saying the companion for Walking Dead. Bring in the solo rule. Bring in the solo rule. You know, to be honest, mate, the solo rules are in the core game. People seem to think that you need to buy the Prelude to Woodbury set to play solo, but if you read the manual, the rule book in the core set, it tells you how to play solo. The only thing you do different, you play it like a co-op game. So the only thing you do different is you essentially, I think you flip an extra. I think you move the threat counter up every turn. So rather than just doing it when you turn over the event cards and seeing what it says, every turn you move the threat counter. That's pretty much the only change to the rules, mate. I've got a video that I did a long time ago of me playing it solo, and that's just using the base set stuff. Where we are, Paul saying doing risk assessments sucks donkey nuts. Yes, I bet it does, mate. VJ saying thanks. I really wish these games would sell starters without minis for those who aren't keen on factions in the box. I think that's pretty much every company though, mate, isn't it? It's not, unfortunately. Because then as soon as they don't do a starter set, everyone goes, oh, we should just do a starter set. Because the problem is the starter sets are such good value. That's the thing. All right, where are we up to time-wise and stuff? Right, I think I'm caught up with the chat now. I think we're back on. We're back going. We've got 59 people in, folks, and we've got 36 likes. That can't be right. That can't be right. Right, let's tell you what we'll do. We'll leave that to dry a little bit with that wash on it, and we'll make a start on The King Has Returned. We'll make a start with this fella. So here we go. So yeah, it's been an eventful night already, folks. Managed to spill a contrast paint. My camera started going nuts. My new camera, should I add? It's basically, it's got like so this, my new camera now auto focuses while I'm doing a live stream. My other one never used to, and for some reason it seemed to get kind of trapped between two focal points, and it was just going tick, 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 trying to focus itself. Peter's saying, I think Tony is talking about the new Walking Dead solo rules to play opposed games. To play opposed games. I don't think there is any new Walking Dead solo rules, mate. I think the Walking Dead's always had solo rules from day one. I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah, there is no extra. Somebody might have done some kind of solo missions or something like that, but that's just somebody writing a new mission for it. It's always been solo from the start, mate. So it's one of the reasons I always kind of big the game up. Really, I'm still not really sure why they ever brought out like a solo set for it. And I've got it, but I actually think I won it in a competition. I never bought it, that's for sure, because it didn't really add anything that I didn't already have, to be fair. So, Fiji said he watched some more back reps and decided to give it a go before I write it off, because I really like the multiple D8 and the pose run mechanic. The game itself, mate. I mean, if you don't like the cubes, then you don't like the cubes. Not nothing I can really say about that. But the actual the game itself, like the mechanics of the exploding 8s and stuff, and the dice pool changing up and down rather than the stats changing. It's a really, really clever system. Which I think, off the top of my head, if I remember right, was written by Jake Thornton, who also did Dreadball and works, or certainly did work, for Mythic Games as well. So, and then I think since then, obviously the RC have kind of picked it up, especially I think Andy Sharp's had quite a bit to do with them, to be fair. He's done a lot with the community to kind of keep it alive. I think at a time when it was potentially wavering a bit. I think. Yeah, let's do the blue bits on there as well. Where are we up to? Peterson, they gave away in lockdown to play it against an AI. No, mate, I think that was in Dead Zone, mate. I think the AI is already in is already in Dead Zone, because the walkers, the zombies, are always AI. So unless there's an AI to play against another human faction, which I don't know about. But I don't really see what that would add, really, to be fair. But maybe I'm missing something. So unless we're getting my wires crossed, or I've completely missed something, mate. Right, a bit of colour on here. Onto the king. That looks really pale blue on the screen there, folks, and it's a lot darker green. So the green I'm using that's on there, that is the same. That looks a bit dark. I think it's when it's on the white background. Certain colours on this white background really seem to sort of disappear. Right, that's that bit. Fidgeting, you can always house rule movement into multiples of 3 inch. Yeah, you could do, I think, mate, to be fair. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you doing that. It's just moving up and down, because actually when you go diagonally and stuff like that, it still counts as a move anyway. But Chris is saying Walking Dead Days Gone By has a solo campaign. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, mate. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Days Gone By is the initial set, isn't it? It was AI to play against another faction to play the storylines solo. The later ones have opposed factions. Right, I'm not aware of that, mate. I would imagine that they might have included that, or it might be too late, and it might not be in the book if that came out later, if you like. Tim says, anybody plays Ridges of Shadow Deep or Elder Scrolls Skyrim minis game? Never played, but like the minis from Elder Scrolls. I watched the Ash Barker videos for Elder Scrolls, and I'll be honest, the game completely turned me off. It doesn't seem like my kind of game. I'm not suggesting it's a bad game. I just don't think it's the right game for me. It seemed way too many specialist dice. Lots of stuff to kind of keep track of and things. But if you're into them kind of games, it's probably right up your street. But it's not my wheelhouse, I think. David saying Rangers of Shadow Deep is his main game. Thank you, Peter. If you can send that as a link, mate. I must have completely missed that, mate. Vijay saying I love hacking rules though. My idea about using Dread Ball minis in Blitz Ball and assigning them to existing team stats to best represent that faction. Yeah, I mean I guess you can do it as a pretty much just a complete straight reskin, can't you? Just by using different minis. But yeah, I mean, if you're definitely trying to kind of take two rule sets and clash them together, that's pretty cool, mate. It'd be interesting to see what you do with that. Right, just coming in with some lead belcher now and doing the chainmail. Scott's saying they brought some new solo missions over lockdown where we're free on the Mantic downloads. Yeah, I think if they've just kind of created them, if you like, they've probably missed the deadline for printing, I'd imagine. So they're probably not going to be in the book. So because I bought the Kickstarter, so I've pretty much got most of what was released when it comes to the different expansions. I haven't had the last two waves because, to be fair, there's still a load of stuff from the first, like from the Kickstarter stuff, that I've just not really used or not really played through yet. So, and they also kind of seem to come out at the times when I was having my bit of saving money as well and not buying stuff. So, but yeah, I still play it. I still kind of rate it as a really great game as well. I think when I was on Dan's podcast, I mentioned that's still my most underrated game. I think, like to bring new players into the hobby. It's just got a theme that people understand. So it's really easy to explain to people what you're trying to do. Basically, you're trying to stay quiet. You're trying to keep away from the walkers. You're trying to stay alive, really, and you're trying to grab supplies. it's really easy to explain to somebody what you're meant to be doing in the game. And anybody that's kind of watched any kind of horror film or they've seen the Walking Dead TV show is completely kind of on board with the theme, really. Chris says, tried Frostgrave. There seems to be various ways to play. I've never tried Frostgrave, mate. It's when Frostgrave seemed to be the hot property, if you like. I was never really that interested in it. I was never really into fantasy games. And from what I understood, it was quite a lot of... it was very old school, I think. But these days, I've kind of got different tastes again now, really. So I'm definitely more into my fantasy gaming than I used to be. So yeah, I'll probably have a look at second edition. There's a second edition due soon, isn't there? So I'll probably have a look at that when it arrives. And see what I think of that. So let's paint these bits in here. Tim's saying there's a Star Wars rule set for Rangers of the Shadow Deep. I think there's like a fan made. Somebody's kind of converted them over. If you watch the Battlehammer, mate, Straw's been doing some kind of solo play stuff because of lockdown. Obviously, him and Parker can't get together to record battle reports and stuff. And he did a Rangers of Shadow Deep Star Wars kind of like, it did like a reskin of it. And I can't remember if he used something that other people had done, or if he made it up himself. But yeah, it was a nice little playthrough, mate. Worth a watch. But he's been doing loads of solo gaming, loads of like solo playthrough stuff, taking things like Last Days by Ash Barker, and kind of doing like a reskin of that using 40k rules. I think it was 40k is a theme. So yeah, he's been doing some cool stuff worth checking out. Nice to see him keep him going and doing stuff, because I'll tell you what, it's like I do this on my own, and it's not the easiest thing to do and to motivate yourself sometimes, especially when you're used to working with somebody else. So yeah, he's done well through lockdown to keep cranking out the content. I guess those guys have got Patreons as well, so maybe there's some motivation in that as well. Keeping stuff going for those. Yeah, Tim saying what Andy just said. Yeah. VG saying actually the Dreadball Extreme map looks like it would work better. Oh yeah, the Dreadball Extremes. I've never played Dreadball Extreme, to be fair. I think is there a board on the back of the Dreadball board on the new set? I think there is, isn't there? I'm pretty sure there is. So, let's get this hammer done as well. Yeah, I think it's with this light on. The colours are completely different. Let me just... put more of a kind of orangey hue on it. Let's just keep it there. You don't really care what colour it is, do you? You're not here to see. You're really not here to see my painting, to be fair. So let's just crack on, as Mel would say. Scott's saying, yeah, Ultimate Dreadball. I thought I remembered seeing something on the other side of it. I couldn't remember exactly where I'd seen it, but yeah. Because that was one of the things. So the Dreadball second edition box, when I reviewed it, it's basically like none of the stuff seems to fit in the box. It's like it's like it's been put, like all of the stuff's been put into a box for a completely different game. But I think the idea is if you buy the Dreadball Ultimate stuff, it all fits in the Dreadball 2.0 box as well. Which obviously I didn't know that when I reviewed the game. But yeah, Dreadball's not a bad game, boys. Right. What do I want to do with this shield? Let's have a look at the Dwarf King. I'm looking at the models on Mantic's site. Just to get an idea of what's what. Let's go back to there. Dwarves. I think David's just saying there as well. It's annoying when you can see that the colours are off on screen. I can't tell if it's. I've just got like cheap monitors that I use just for this, so I can never tell whether it's my monitors that are off, whether it's like the white balance on the camera that's off. Because I've kind of keyed these in with the white balance. Like if I turn that off, that still looks really. Actually, to be fair, it still looks pretty. It's probably not that different. I'll just stop my whinging now. Turn that brightness down a touch. I'm just looking for the. There he is. So I can have a look at the King model and see exactly what's what on the model. I'm not as keen on the brassy gold armour. I think we'll stick with the silver. What the hell's going on? I'm having one of those flipping tech nights, I think, tonight. Everything seems to be bloody going wrong. This light's flickering now. I think it's all trying to tell me something, folks. I think I've had an all-round bad day today. Anyway. Did I just see Busey saying Mel's gone off the radar again? I hope he's all right. I mean, we were just chatting the other day, weren't we? I hadn't heard that he'd been unwell and that he wasn't like streaming and stuff. So I hope whatever it is, I hope he's not too bad, and I hope he makes a speedy recovery. And I wish him all the best, because nobody likes to see anybody ill. And especially when it's the lad's livelihood as well. It's his business, isn't it? So I'd like to see him back fit and well soon. Let's put this bit in here. I'm just kind of making this up as I go along, folks. I'm not really don't really have a plan in mind. Some greeny bits I've missed here. Get these bits done. Fiji saying confident to find an extreme sale on the Mantic site. I'm not sure if it's. I'm not sure if it's still there, mate. Was it not just something prior to the lockdown stuff? Because it was mega cheap, wasn't it? I was tempted to buy it, but I just knew it was something that'll sit on the shelf and never get played. Like 90% of the other stuff that I've bought over the years. So I didn't succumb to it. Let me just get that bit in there. Eyes found it. Krabby saying he was streaming the other night, said he was feeling better. Yeah, Busey was saying that he'd not heard from her, and I saw the note that was saying he was coming back, kind of thing. But I assume when Busey had said that, I thought he meant he'd been back and gone off again. So yeah, that's what I mean. I hope he's all right. Scott said he bought 2 copies. Yeah, I think you were pretty sure you knew what you wanted, mate, weren't you, when you bought yours? All right, let's get some brown leather on these boots. David saying the sale on Star Saga was well worth it. I got one for myself and 2 for my gaming friends. Yeah, that's what Busey's saying there. He watched that and then nothing since. So, do we know what was wrong with him? Was it anything serious? Because he's been missing quite some time, wasn't he? I don't know if he mentioned what it was, or if it was personal. If it was anything particularly personal, then by all means don't. No need to tell me in the chat. £9. Yeah, bloody hell. Bloody seems... They must be really wanting to shift them out the door to sell them at £9, isn't it? Those Dreadball Extremes. You've got to feel that they're not making any money on them at £9. I'm just trying to clear the warehouse. And if they are making money on them at £9, then we pay well over the odds for our games, that's for sure. Do I want to? I'll just do them brown as well, I think, around the tops. Scott's saying he had a bad back and split up from his wife. Moved into his own place. I knew he'd split up from his wife, mate. That was quite some time ago, that wasn't it? They split up like quite a while back, like long before the lockdown stuff started, because he was streaming every day, wasn't he, during lockdown? So I knew about that stuff, but I wasn't sure about the bad back thing. It just seemed a bit more serious than that. That was all. Just not that a bad back isn't serious, but you know what I mean. I'll paint his gloves as well, I think. Tim says, how many mini-based game systems is enough? We can't play everything but want to. How many at one time, collecting, painting and playing is enough so you don't get swamped? I think my problem, mate, is I don't get to play nearly as much as I'd like to. And I can't just kind of settle on one game. So what I tend to do is I tend to be building, painting, kind of like reading rules, looking at the new stuff for like lots of different bits and pieces. So me personally, I don't think I could just be like a one game player, because like as much as I don't paint very often, painting's a big part of it for me. This is my kind of my switch off, really. This is when I can kind of turn my brain off and relax, really. So painting is a big part of it for me. And sometimes it's not even about trying to do a good job. It's just the actual act of painting is enough just to kind of give me some kind of mental peace, if you like, mental peace and quiet. So even if it's just batch painting, if you like, just going through the motions, even that's sometimes just enough. So I don't know, mate, for me, I think it depends upon how often you play. If you've got a gaming group that you play with, do you play, like some basically do like slow grow things for one particular game and they concentrate on that one game for a while and then they all move on to something else together. It was one of the reasons I picked up Star Wars Destiny, the card game, was that basically so I could have something that I could basically play without worrying about having to paint and build stuff, really. So, because I do like to play with painted minis, just for my own personal kind of taste. But obviously, it used to take me quite a long time to paint stuff. I'm kind of cracking through stuff a lot faster these days as I get more practice in. But yeah, I don't know how many's too many, really, when we start talking about it like that. What do folks think? Do you think, like, kind of once you go over 2 or 3 games, are you really just kind of you're never going to get that many games in? I guess it also depends on the games as well. Like if you're a 40k player, for example, like you'd be playing that game a lot less often, like because it takes longer to play the game, than if you were playing something like a little kind of like a Warcry game or something like that. There's a lot more rules to remember. It was one of the things with Infinity is that it's a fantastic game, but you kind of do need to commit yourself to understanding those rules to get the best out of that game. Otherwise, you might as well just play the quick start rules if you're just going to play it now and then, really. John Eskell's... Oh, Tony Tiger is saying Mel's workshop is walking distance from his house. I'll get a bailiff badge sorted. John says 3 decent teams in Dreadball Extreme that work for regular Dreadballs, worth it for a bit of variety. Yeah, I think that was why Scott bought a couple of sets of it, to be fair. So he had some enough to kind of do a bit of list building. I'll just paint this in. We'll come back and highlight it afterwards. Do these bits. sometimes I do forget that I'm supposed to keep talking. I just kind of zone out. It's one of the things with painting. It's why I'd put off doing painting and streaming, like painting streams, for quite some time, because I always knew at some point I would just kind of zone out. Like I say, this is when I switch my brain off really when I'm painting. So it no wonder sometimes I just go silent. But I try and remember. I try to remember you're all still there. VJ said he likes to reuse minis from multiple games, so have to paint for every game. So don't have to paint for every game, sorry. And Krabby saying, I'm invested in 40k for sure. I think I'm happy to try anything, mind. And if I liked it, I'm sure I'd have no bones playing it. That's one of the things, isn't it? I mean, I think if you've got a couple of mates who play games or whatever it is, you end up like, you can almost kind of take turns picking up those starter sets and giving something a try. Otherwise, what happens is the same person ends up spending the money all the time, and that can get damn expensive. Especially if you pick something up and nobody plays it. So just fill that bead in underneath there. Perfect. VJ says I can play a bunch of games depending on my mood. Who do you play with, VJ? Do you tend to play solo mostly? Have you got like a particular sort of mate that you play games with, or? I don't think I know who you play. VJ says, sorry, Peter says I once made a list to roll a die on when I couldn't decide what game to play. I end up using a D20. I think that's sometimes the problem. You have so many games, it actually makes it difficult to know what to play. Like there's many times I don't know if I mentioned it on that video about not buying anything for 6 months, but there's been times when I've kind of looked at my game shelf, and you almost become kind of like paralyzed about like, well, I don't even know what to play. I don't even know what I fancy kind of thing. There's too much there. Dan says, I did solo painting streams for a little bit on Twitch. I found it sort of spoiled it for me as it was less meditative. I think it's a bit of a mix for me, mate. I mean, I've been doing some painting, so I've intentionally been obviously trying to take some time off. I'm opening the contrast again to use what little I've got left. At least it's nice and sticky now. It'll stick to the base. And I've been kind of just like painting on a weekend a little bit as well, just kind of doing my own thing. And I find them quite relaxing. And then obviously if I'm painting stuff for like a review or something like that, it tends to be stuff that I want to just kind of get done. But I know what you mean. It's definitely not as relaxing painting on stream, but by the same stretch, it's like it's actually what I'm doing now is very kind of a very solitary pastime, really. Like I'm not, because of lockdown, I ain't playing any games at the minute. I'm not getting out to play with anybody. Because I've now changed my job. This is now my full-time job. I'm not speaking to anybody on a daily basis kind of thing. I'm not like on phone calls for meetings or anything like that. So, to be honest, painting and streaming is actually just a nice way to sit and have a chat. Even, it might sound strange, but even though nobody's really replying, like I'm not hearing a voice kind of replying to me, if you like, it's quite nice just to have some kind of contact, if you like, because it is a very like, especially at the minute, like obviously not being able to get out and do anything, it's a bit of a, not a lonely place. That makes me sound like I'm not enjoying it, because I am enjoying it, but it like be nice to have people to talk to once in a blue moon kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you're in the office at work or something like that, you have those kind of random conversations just over the desk or by having a cup of coffee or whatever. You don't get them when you work for yourself and you work at home on your own. So anyway, that'll do for that. Jason saying all these local gaming buds are poor. Yeah, I think when I was going to like a gaming group and stuff like that, I was definitely that person the one that seemed to buy all the starter sets, because I was a bit of a magpie when it comes to gaming. So, but to be fair, I mean, there's plenty of people going to games because of me showing them stuff. So, like, there was a load of us going to play in Malifaux because I picked up some minis and the rule book and stuff. Scott said he bought 2 so he could paint the convict teams up in 2 different prisons, competing with the Renton's rejects mixed in. Just have a full rejects team with the Mantic points. A Ronnie coach in charge. Nice, mate. Paul said, not having to speak to anyone for work, how I envy you. The Muppets in the office keep ringing me up when I'm trying to get a job done on site. To be honest, mate, like, so I've like no kind of no surprise here. People who've been regular to the channel know this. I detested my job, the job I had prior to doing this, and I was just hugely fortunate for 2 reasons. One, I had something else that could kind of sort of take me away from that, and secondly, that I had a community of people that were willing to kind of support me to make it happen. So I've been really, really fortunate. But I must admit, like I've been doing this now, kind of like it's officially my last day at work on June the 30th. So my contract isn't up until June the 30th, and then I really am kind of officially doing this job full time on my own with no other income, and I've kind of missed the social interaction of just chatting, like even just random conversations. I definitely need to kind of get myself some kind of network, I think, because I'm not one of them that like chats to all the other YouTube channels, and I don't have like a wide kind of circle of friends or anything like that. So I definitely have to try and get myself some kind of network, I think. Where are we at? Crabby saying, "Gives a bell or a Zoom if you ever want some white noise, pal." Yeah, I might do, mate. Actually, I need to kind of. I'm just pretty garbage basically at kind of reaching out and doing that kind of stuff. It's not even just laziness. It's just I'm just not good at it. But yeah, I appreciate that, mate. I might even take you on the offer sometime. Anna's in as well. It says, "Evening all, missed the start of the stream because I was finished sanding the floor." To be fair, Anna, I think the only thing you missed was me spilling over a pot of contrast paint. David says, "Would you do a Discord voice paint and chat?" I think I would, mate. To be fair, I mean, to be honest, I've got no problems with kind of doing it as a stream, because there's 2 sides to it. Like, one is if I do a Discord paint and chat, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, that I'm not working. I'm not making content. I'm kind of doing it as my hobby then, if you like. Where this technically is work. This is content. This is giving something back to the Patreons who are supporting me. This is giving something to try and keep the channel fresh and keep new content coming. It's like do you know what I mean? So if I don't do it on camera, then it's not work anymore, really. Do you know? Does that make sense? So unless it was one of the kind of bonus things that we kind of hang out in the Discord and kind of paint and chat together, and we did it once every so often for Patreons, and it was one of the Patreon kind of privilege things, if you like, or tiers, then I can see something like that working. But I'd need to understand that, I think. Right, we'll just douse this one now as well. VGC mini playing with one of the mates, been gaming for almost 25 years. We expose each other to new games almost every time we game. Normally play one new and one old. That's pretty good, mate. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I mean, once the lockdown stuff ends, I fully intend to try and kind of like put myself out there really and like get out there and play games and meet people and try and do something. Otherwise, I can see over a longer period of time, this will become very isolating. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely need to do something about it, but at the minute it's just not that easy. So I do appreciate Krabby the shout there, mate, as well, and I think at some point I will take you on that. So VJ's saying he occasionally games without people. Started a group a while back, but it only lasted a couple of months until summer, but hoping to reboot it after the corona restrictions are lifted. Yeah, it was one of the things I was looking forward to, really, was not doing my old job anymore where I had to travel a lot, and actually being able to kind of commit to a games club or something like that, and then here we are. not doing my old job, but not being able to go to a games club. So for a different reason. Tony says, I've been interested in Vanguard, but not sure on the starter set. I prefer the other factions and new ogres and minis look nice. I don't know how much the starter set is, but for me personally, it needed a starter set when it first came out, I would say. And I said this to Mantic as well at the time, that I felt it needed a starter set. And that I think their reasoning was basically that like starter sets are not cheap to do. And I get that. Starter sets are not necessarily cheap to do. However, they're meant to probably be a cut price way to tempt people into the game so they start playing it and then they pick up more stuff down the line. And so they need to be priced kind of right as well. And I think, if I remember right, I've got a feeling that the Vanguard starter set is a bit more expensive than I probably would have liked to have seen for a starter set for Vanguard. And especially given that the rules are free to try it, and if you got the Walking Dead, you can use the Walking Dead dice as the command dice, because they all work the same side. Instead of having like sort of splats or kind of shots on the side of them, they've just got like crossed swords. So but the layout of the dice is exactly the same. So I think there's other ways to give it a try, really. So I'd recommend picking up the free rules and buying a starter set for the faction that you like the look of, because it's a shame if they'd done that starter set with some of the new factions in. That would have been that might have even would have enticed me to pick it up, but as it is, I've got everything that's in that starter set. So yeah. But in saying that, Vanguard is a really good game, and again, I'll go back and I'll do some, once I can start to play games with people again. I'll probably do some Vanguard videos again as well, and get some Vanguard content up on the channel, and just because it's all games I've got. It's stuff I've got where I've got painted armies. I've got bits of terrain and stuff. I've got mats for this kind of stuff, so it makes it really quick to do. Well, it doesn't make it quick, but it makes it quick for me to get filming. Which is not something that I can do if I'm starting from scratch with something. Let's have a look. Steve's saying you could see I've had a little influence on people playing Kings of War Dwarfs Club as well as other Mantic games. I can imagine, mate. I think Mantic or you were a debt of gratitude as well, mate, when it comes to introducing folks to the hobby. Peter saying, I know what you mean, miserable at the job, wouldn't miss it one day. One thing that keeps me there, though, the guys I work with. To be honest, it wasn't like I was particularly very close with people at work, because my office is in Manchester, so it wasn't like I was there very often, and I wouldn't like necessarily even class them as like sort of close friends or anything like that. They were definitely just kind of colleagues, really. However, just that kind of that interaction, I think, just having that. I've had a job basically ever since I was 17. I've worked since I was 17, so it's not like I've had any kind of like significant time off or anything like that. So this is the first time I've not really just been kind of going to a normal, I say a 9 to 5 job, like some of my jobs used to be shift work and stuff, but you know what I mean, like a normal kind of place of work. So yeah, it's just taken me some time to get my head around everything, really. But I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the fact that I'm getting to do something like working for myself. So thank you to you lot who helped make it happen. So what I'm doing now, folks, is I've gone back to the Stone Priest now, and I'm highlighting some of the skin up with a little bit of Bugman's Glow again, just where it was a bit dark in areas. And then what I'll do now is I'll get this P3 paint, which is Midland Flesh, and I'll mix a little bit of that with the Bugman's Glow to make like a mid tone, and just give us a bit of a highlight, but nothing too severe. I don't want to take the skin too. Like I'm guessing the impression is that there's a dwarf who wanders around with his top off in a battle. He'd have picked up a little bit of a tan. Peterson, speaking about work, the land speed is done. I need to back up in 5.5 hours, so best get going. Yeah, have a good night, mate. Good sleep, rather. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Much appreciated. Paulson was supposed to be a training course, but lockdown stopped it. Need that qualification to change jobs. Still contracting, but less back-breaking and more money. Yeah, you need to kind of just... Yeah, you need to do what you can, mate. Don't you, to put yourself in a position where it's more enjoyable as well. Because even though the money's nice to have, it does get to a point where even a good wage can't overcome an awful job. So there's a fine balance in that stuff. I mean, obviously I'm making nowhere near the money I was making when I had my day job, but I am infinitely more happier. So health and happiness, it's hard to put a price on that kind of stuff. So that's a bit of that. Just put a little bit on his face here, pick that up. His fingers. Just pick those out. Now I think we'll go a little bit lighter with the pink now. VJ's saying he's also a Pom who grew up with GOW in his late teens in the UK, so we bonded over that. Oh, that's nice, man. It's cool that you kind of had you have stuff to bond over anyway. Where are we up to? George is in as well, saying, sorry I'm late, I've got a note. Mountain Gremlin Games is saying, sorry I'm late at the party, nice king. Thank you very much, mate. Welcome into the chat. Phil Tolhurst, to starter sets draw people in, especially something like Vanguard, which is really an entry into Kings of War. Do you know what? I'm not convinced, mate. I don't think it is necessarily an entry into Kings of War. And I'll tell you why I say that. So it's such a different rule set to Kings of War. Like the mechanics are different. Well, because obviously it's a skirmish game and it's not like a kind of like a rank and flank game. The models for Kings of War, you tend to like, most people tend to multi-base these days. So if you're multi-basing, you can't then use them in Vanguard. So if you buy the models for Vanguard specifically, you're better off buying the models for Kings of War and just taking the bits out that you need for Vanguard and making the rest up into like a unit, if you like. But if you're just getting started with a game, you won't know that. So you'll buy the Vanguard sets with like individual minis in. So I'm not actually, honestly, I think if you're interested in Kings of War, just play Kings of War, because I actually find Kings of War a little bit simpler than Vanguard. Purely because even though there's loads of models, you're really only moving bases around, as opposed to moving like lots of models around, if you like. So I'm not sure it is a starter into Kings of War, because they're such different games. In the same way, I'm not like, I don't think Warcry is a starter into AOS, because they're so different games. I think if you're somebody that likes Warcry, for example, you might find Age of Sigmar is a very, very different experience. So anyway, that's just my 2 penneth. Jason says, I'm more likely to get into a new game if they have a nice starter box. Yeah, I agree, mate. I mean, to be honest, I do the same thing, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to feel like you're buying stuff that you won't use, or you're buying stuff that's not very good. So when you buy a starter set, there's just this assumption that somebody's actually put some work into this, and is kind of telling me there's 2 roughly balanced factions here, and that's good enough to get started with. So, and that's really what you're looking for, isn't it? Krabby said, I don't know if he sent you my number before, mate. I'll drop it in a DM for you. 100% BlackJack Gaming Club when this COVID shit's done. I work 4 days a week now, so all good. Yeah, it sounds good, mate. I like the idea of that. I need to try and get into some kind of like routine of like just kind of forcing myself to kind of do some stuff. And Scott's saying he'll play for a batter out as well. Yeah, you mentioned that before, mate. Yeah, as soon as we get some breathing space here. And Deb's is in as well. Good evening, Debs. How are you doing? Saying, hey everyone, apologies for being so ridiculously late, but it's nice to finally be here. You're welcome. Thank you very much as well for joining the Patreon this week. I think, yeah, Mr. Howell's donation tonight has just dropped you off the screen there. If I go back to this screen, no, there's still only 4 on there. I thought it was 5. So sorry, Debs, you were on the screen earlier on tonight. Yeah, Tony's saying, turn up precisely when they've cleaned up their spilled paint and unglued their fingers. And it says, good podcast this week, by the way, Andy. It was an enjoyable listen. Thank you very much, Anna. And there'll be another one coming as well before the end of the month to make up for the... So the one coming before the end of the month will be this month, because I was one behind. Because my brain forgot to tell me that where we were in the month. Krabby saying, isolation is counterintuitive for us humans. Unfortunately, sometimes lifestyle forces us down that path. Yeah, it's funny, mate, because I quite like having kind of time to myself. I'm not a loner as such, but I do just enjoy my own company kind of thing. It's not like I crave sort of to be with people all the time. But the longer you spend, like, I think the lockdown thing has definitely impacted upon that. That the more time that I spend at home, kind of, and I'm not on my own. I mean, like, my wife and my son's here, but obviously it's a different experience at the minute, isn't it? It's a good job my wife's a good one. Puts up with my crap. So we're just going to come in and just do a little bit of highlighting now. Just pick out some of these areas here. So as you can see, I mean, I'm not trying to do like realistic blending or any kind of like realistic highlighting. I'm literally almost just leaving the darker shades in the recesses and just lightening up the other areas. So as I mentioned before, more kind of comic booky, cartoony looking really, rather than actually rather than realistic. But it just looks good. When the models are quite small and there's a lot of models on the table, it just really pulls the eye and focuses them on that kind of contrast areas. So these are quite well sculpted, and there's quite a lot of little areas on this kind of cloth that looks like it's kind of like little cloth panels. So I'm just kind of picking out the centers of those panels really, and then what we'll do is we'll come in with a lighter blue again afterwards and pick out a smaller area of that. So Liz is saying, managing to get a lot done on his Northern Alliance for the slow grow today. Being behind for a few weeks now. I kind of took my foot off the gas a little bit, mate. I had quite a bit of other stuff that I was... I think I just rubbed contrast paint on my tash. I had quite a bit of other stuff that I was painting with the Dead Zone challenge and with the what's it called, the Infinity stuff, and a few other bits and pieces I've been doing in the background. So I'd kind of took my eye off the ball a little bit with the Kings of War stuff. But to be fair, I was still ahead. I'd kind of built a little bit of a buffer in, so I was ahead on my points tally of what I was trying to get done. So now I'll do a couple of heroes tonight that'll get me back on track as well for this month. And then we're rocking and rolling again. So let's get a little bit on there. I'll just pick those bits out. So that should do those bits. I'll very slightly just do a little bit in here. Just to highlight a bit there. Tony says he's a Geordie battle dwarf. Knee short on. Bitches, I'm waiting for the full Ratkin to come out before I jump into Kings of War Vanguard. Yeah, I'm tempted to kind of to pick up maybe a Ratkin for Vanguard. I've not bought anything new for Vanguard for quite some time actually. Dev's saying, I'm with you on that, Andy. I took a massive pay cut when I took my current job, but I'm so much happier. Yeah, I mean, I'm embarrassed to tell you the difference between what I earn now and what I was earning before, that's for sure. But yes, happiness is far outweighs it. I mean, it helps the fact that my wife's got a good job as well, to be fair. Otherwise, Otherwise, I couldn't afford to take that much of a cut. But yeah, between us, we're all right. As long as we keep the roof over our heads, that's kind of all we need to do, really. Let me just. I've got a piece of gunky paint stuck in the lid on this. I'm about to get this all over my fingers now, aren't I? It's been one of those days. Everything's been going wrong today, so. Oh, there we go. Is it coming out? I'm trying to do this without spilling the paint everywhere. Oh, there we go. This is why I don't like the GW pots. I mean, this big lump of crap stuck in here, stopping the lid from closing. Bloody GW pots. Right, there we go. And then tiny little bit of. Oh, she will put a little bit of water into this one, I think. Yeah. Where are we up to? Honestly, I dropped to 4 days a week at work. Best decision I ever made, but definitely noticed the hit to the wages. Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, like obviously my wife works for the same company as well, and obviously between us, thankfully we earned more than we needed, really. So when we were kind of going through all of the bills and stuff last year to see whether this YouTube stuff could be possible, I still need to earn some money from this. It's not like I can just do this as a full-time hobby and not make any money out of it. So it still had to work financially. But by doing a number of different things and doing things slightly differently, it meant that I could buy some time basically to give this a go and see if it is something that I could kind of, to make that kind of that minimum that I need to keep going. So far so good. Patreon's been going well. I think we're up to 94 Patreons now, and we just broke through the $500 a month mark, which is nice. Obviously that conversion back to British pounds, so it sounds great, but it's probably nearer about £350 or something like that. And obviously £350 a month, it's not a very big wage. So the idea being that basically I've saved up enough money to buy myself kind of 12 months to really give this a good go and see if it can grow. And after 12 months, if it doesn't grow, then I have to go and get another job basically. But so far so good. If it wasn't for the fact that I had the Patreon support that I've got now, I would never have even been able to make that decision to give it a go. It was you folks that basically kind of told me that it was worth trying, because the worst thing you can do in life is have regrets. So if the worst comes to the worst, then essentially I go and try and get another job. By that point, my little boy's at school full time, so I can try and get a job around school times. At the minute, he's kind of nursery and stuff, and he starts a new nursery in September, and obviously I think he does like 9:30 till about 3:30. That didn't really like fit with the jobs that me and my wife did anyway, so it's given us an opportunity just to do something very different for us as a family as well. So thank you to every single one of you who support me doing that, and I'll continue to try and keep getting better and putting out more content and keep trying to keep you entertained. It's just it all come at a time when the whole world locked down, and a lot of the plans I had, like going to Adepticon and kind of making some contacts and sort of all the meetings I had set up, and then sort of getting people around to play games and get some stuff filmed. All those things I had plans for all kind of went up in smoke. So I have to just do what I can do and make it work basically. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and it's a challenge and it's motivating, and it gets me out of bed every day. So where are we at? Geordie Battle Dwarfs, great concept. Phil saying, I can't see the value in the Vanguard starter set. Yeah, I'm a little bit with that, Phil. Sorry, we were talking about that before, weren't we? I think it's just priced a little bit too high personally, but I get Mantic have to try and make money on it. Vincent saying Kings of War is way simpler than Vanguard and the starter is even cheaper. That's exactly where I was kind of coming to, mate. I forgot to mention that bit. That if you want to play Vanguard, you're better off buying the Kings of War starter, I think. Vijay saying, since I already play Skaven and EOS, I can reuse the Ratkin models. Nice one. One set of models, 3 games. Steve saying, I think you can definitely say Vanguard is a first edition game. I say there's some issues. Yeah. Deb saying you're more than welcome. No, I'm very, very grateful. You don't have to be like, I appreciate you all kind of like, you all dig into your pockets and make this all happen, to be fair. Where is this? Ooh, that's where we're up to, sorry. Right, Debs was saying lockdown hasn't affected me too much apart from messing really badly with my sleep pattern. I'm certainly, so when I used to have the day job, I was up at like 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning every day to get the little one sorted and get ready for work before dropping him off at nursery and then heading off down to Manchester and all kind of stuff. Where now, because I'm streaming like till 11, 11:30 at night sometimes, I'm like, and because my wife's not away as well, she's doing the morning, so she's dropping them off at nursery and stuff and getting them up in the morning, and I'm doing the evenings and picking them up and putting them to bed and stuff. So we're kind of between us, we're kind of going to that routine. But what it's meant is my sleep pattern is kind of, I'm a bit all over now as well. I'm still getting up at like 7 o'clock, 7:30 or something like that. It's not like I'm lying in till late or anything, but I'm definitely, when I used to be in bed quite early, I'm now up till kind of midnight, 1 o'clock type stuff. So yeah, my sleep's a bit erratic at the minute. George is saying, I like the way Vanguard can dovetail with the Kings of War campaign. I also like the way Dungeon Saga characters can make an appearance too. I like the way that works, mate. I'm yet to find anybody that's actually done it though. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. It's like, I hear loads of people say what a good idea it is, but I don't hear anybody doing it. Let's come with the gold here and pick these bits up. VG Tanner 20. Steve saying, I've been loving my painting FaceTime chats with my club mates since lockdown. We try and meet up twice a week. Yeah, that's pretty good, mate, to be fair. I mean, my missus was doing some stuff where she was kind of getting together for like chats with her mates and stuff like that, but it felt like over time it kind of, because nobody's doing anything, it felt like they kind of ran out of stuff to talk about in the nicest possible way. Like, there's only so many times you can basically have that conversation that says, "By this lockdown's getting a bit dull now, isn't it?" So I think they kind of like fizzled out a little bit with that. But I get, if you're sitting chatting, painting with your mates like we are, like you talk about your hobby, because you like, it's funny, like your mates don't necessarily have to share your own hobbies. Like friends who you go for a pint with or something like that. Like you might all watch the football or something like that, or you might all kind of all have motorbikes or something like that. Like you might go for rides with them normally or something like that. And then when it comes to the lockdown, it's like, oh, like none of us are doing any of that stuff now. Where with hobbyists, like our stuff just keeps going. Like a lot of us spend a lot of time indoors anyway, so like it's not a massive change to type things. But I think the difference for me is it's come at a time when I'm making a big change in my life anyway, with the job change and the YouTube stuff. So it's kind of compounded all at once a little bit. So, but God knows it's fun. It's going to be interesting, and I can always say I tried. So, right, I think we'll give them gold bracelets as well. I think. Let me just come in and touch them in. It's just on the top of the screen there. Apologies for that. Blizzard saying, yeah, I was ahead too. We got caught up with enough to count this month easy. Yeah. Steve saying he's off. He's got work tomorrow. See you, Steve. Thanks for coming in. And Paul says, as long as you can afford to paint your desk in contrast paint, you'll be all right money-wise. I know. That was like spilling a full tank of petrol, that, mate, wasn't it? So, speaking of full tanks of petrol, my car goes back on the 30th of June. So, my car is a company car. So, as my job officially ends anyway, they come and pick up my company car. So I'm not going to buy another car, so don't really need one. So that's going to be interesting. The first time I've not had my own personal car for God, since I was 17 basically. So that's going to take some getting used to. And another one of the reasons why this all works as well, because the new nursery that my little one's starting at is walking distance just along the road. So yeah, all these kind of things come together. So yeah, it's going to be interesting as well, not having a car. Obviously my wife's still got one as well, so it's not like we don't have a car at home, but just used to having 2 cars. Crabby saying, did you see your missus was in loo roll as well? Not literally, obviously. Yes, mate, so we both work for the same company, so I used to essentially be product sort of in charge of product development and run the product development teams, and my wife was like kind of like head of sales, so she was in there, looks after one of the sales departments. So yeah, so she sells them. I used to design them and she sells them, and Scott Longworth makes them. Deb says, I'm in the process of transferring all my GW paints into drop bottles. It makes life so much easier. I did it with a few Debs. I started doing it recently with a few that were kind of coming to the end of their life, and I've done a few of them. But to be fair, it's I've got these storage things, which are the GW ones, and they're really good for just transporting stuff about, especially when I'm kind of clearing this desk up and stuff. So rather than moving dropper bottles around, I just find them much easier. But I think I am tempted to kind of invest in like Vallejo or something like that. Well, that's starting to come together. I'm kind of happy with where it is. I don't think I really want to push it too far. I'll do something, I think, with this with the staff now. I feel like I want to inject a little bit of colour into it. I think what I might do is I might just pick out just a bit of red, like there's a bit of a gem type thing here or something. So let's put a bit of red in there just to pick that out. Oh, for God's sake, I'm knocking things all over the place tonight. Vijay saying yes, and switching all these paints to droppers. I don't miss that dried paint around the rim. Yeah. George says, having spilled a half contrast pot yesterday, I think I should buy some dropper bottles. I've just spilt a full one tonight, made all over my desk. So I feel your pain. Peter said I would try dropper bottles, but fear how much paint I would spill during the transfer. Do you know what it is, mate? You're not wrong. I actually bought some like little funnels and stuff like that as well to do it. VG's in there, pretty keen to get into Monpok, as I love the minis in the game system, hoping to reuse the mat and terrain. I've not really played it. I don't really know anything about Monster Apocalypse. Where are we up to again? Once again, though, I'm stumped by disliking the 2 factions in the box. I don't even know what's in the starter box, mate, for that game. Philip saying the problem is the 2 factions are £25 each. The set is £75, so you need to find £25 in the rest of the box. I think the value from the rest of the box, mate, comes is they include the dice. I think they also include, is the rule book included in it as well? And I think that's what. I think essentially that's basically where the value is in it. But it's not like, it's not a massive saving. That's the. It's not like big enough really to really make you. Do we give it a red staff, do you think, folks? Let's try it. What's the worst that happens? We paint it black afterwards. Yeah, I've not looked to see what else is in the box, to be fair. I think, well, I did, but I can't remember what's in there now. So, and I think somebody else is saying they're not sure it's like what, they're not sure it's the same models as what you get in a £25 starter. So, because I think those £25 starter factions are great. They're exactly what you need, basically. But the problem is, what you needed was, you needed 2 of those £25 starter factions in a rule book for 50 quid. Really, that's what you needed. Almost like you get a free rule book in it. But, and this is what happens when you have games that have like proprietary dice. You end up like basically being forced into buying them. And I think, like, if you look at some of the games with starter sets, like things like X-Wing is a good example, where you get enough in there to play a game, but not enough if you really want to play it properly. So it's perfect as a starter set. And I think some of the problem is obviously that you compare it to things like Warcry and you think what you got inside that box for like 90 quid, and like it's absolutely no comparison. You got 2 full war bands, you got the board, you got the terrain, you got the rule book, you got dice, and all of a sudden it's like it's not even a comparison, and that's when you start to kind of question stuff. So I'm not saying it's a bad game, nothing at all about the game itself, just the perceived value basically. David saying, yeah, lockdown really halted my channel plans and took a chunk of my hobby time. It's slowly getting better. I can hone my skills in the meantime. Yeah, it's a shame, mate, isn't it? Boots on the table with Dom. Hello, good evening. Says, I missed the gaming in lockdown, although my plastic mountain is taking a battering, which is good. It's nice to see so much painting happening to folks, to be fair. Tony saying, I'm not sure the Vanguard starter has full starter factions. Yeah, I think that might be the case, mate. Phil saying, the problem with the 2 of us working from home is we had to make space for 2 desks. So my hobby space went out of the window. I'm trying to work out how to work it now. I've been quite fortunate, mate, that basically, like, I've got this kind of studio thing, and then we've got some other, I say, spare bedrooms. The bedrooms that when my older sons come and stay at weekends, that's where they stay. So during the week, those rooms are empty really. So and there's desks in there for their computers and stuff. So my wife's been using one of those for a desk at home. And the thing that's been holding us back a little bit is like the little one being off nursery. We were kind of taking turns looking after him and stuff. Where he went back to nursery last week, so I'm starting to get some kind of time back now. I'm obviously playing catch up, but yeah, we're starting to get that time back now. Phil saying he threw himself into role playing a bit too heavily and want to scale that back a bit. Tony saying, are Kings of War dice the same as Vanguard? No, mate, they're not, because you don't need the dice for Kings of War. You only need the special dice for Vanguard, which is the command dice. Now, if you've got Walking Dead, you can use the Walking Dead dice. I don't know whether that's kind of like widely known or not, but you certainly can use the Walking Dead dice because they have exactly the same facings on them. So it's one less thing to have to buy if you've got the Walking Dead. However, you do need them. I mean, you could use normal dice. You could get dice and put stickers over them or something like that. But again, by the time you're fanning on with that kind of stuff, you might as well just buy the dice. George is saying, no, it's D6 in Kings of War. It's D6 in Vanguard as well, mate, to be fair. So the game itself uses normal D6 dice, both Kings of War and Vanguard, but you roll command dice at the start of each turn, which give you the chance to have like extra abilities and things. And those command dice are proprietary to the game. They're not the same as the command dice in Dead Zone. They're completely different. VJ saying, anyone know how to fix a hook tip on a sable brush? Yes, mate. Brush soap. Just keep cleaning it in brush soap. Gets really, really clean it out. Even Christian, how you doing, mate? Krabby saying, stop saying you can always see you tried. You're succeeding and have succeeded already in building a fantastic community. I'm sure everyone would agree. I agree, mate. I feel like I've kind of succeeded in even getting to the chance to kind of give this a go. What I mean is, I still have to make it work financially. I mean, at the minute, I am not earning enough money from this for it to class it as a full-time job. However, it's a new business venture, and I'm at the start of that journey, if you like. That's my point. What I mean is, in a year's time, if it's not, because at the end of the day, the people that are on board at the moment are the ones that kind of, the early adopters, if you like, the people that kind of believed in it from the start, even before I was managing to put out more content. So it's hard to judge the success by that because, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, those folks were already supporting me before I went to do this full time. What I need to assess is over a longer period of time, like in 12 months' time, is it still growing? And it's growing every month at the minute, so I'm happy. And if that projection, if you like, if that trajectory that it's on now keeps growing every month, then it'll be absolutely fine. But I just need to, I need to assess it, don't I? It's a business at the end of the day. I need to make sure it works. So, but yeah, I've saved up enough money to give myself 12 months of making it work, basically, and that's what I mean. I'm not setting out to fail, if that makes sense. Right, let's have a look. There's this. Where are we doing this? Visually, going to use the hex racks from GW for shades, dry contrast, and tech paints, which I leave in the GW pots. Visually, if your hands are steady enough.
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
No, Siri, you can't. Visually, if your hands are steady enough, you can paint minis. They're steady enough to transfer paint there. Dan said, I quite enjoyed the process. Actually, it was mind-numbing, but I sometimes like a numb mind. Transferring the paint, I think you're talking about there, mate. Yeah. Tim says, I think you missed a trick with your old Joe Andy gaming-themed toilet paper. GW would do it. Do you know what? It costs an absolute fortune, mate, to make like patterns and stuff like that on toilet paper and things, and printing and stuff. Like when we used to make like a new pattern, costs in the region of about, it's kicking on for £250,000 to make a new pattern on toilet paper. So that gives you an idea, because it's such a kind of an intensive, like by the time you do research and trials and testing and design, and then you engrave new steel patterns and stuff like that, it gets on for £250,000 of investment. So yeah, that's why we wouldn't do like, so these ones that you see, the kind of the fun crossword ones and all this kind of stuff, they're just printed on really, really cheap paper out in the Far East and then shipped over. It's in two sorts, one with Emperor on and one with Horus on. Phil says, what am I doing? What I am doing is comparing it to things like Warcry, because GW sets that benchmark way too high. Yeah, I agree, mate. I do exactly the same thing. But to be fair, everybody complains about how expensive GW is. So how can you not compare it to that? How can you not kind of make that comparison? Right, we'll highlight this one up now. Christian's here. Oh, so have a chat with D&D there. Scott's here. 5 Hellions built. And I want a Venom number 4. Interzone 88. Good evening, Interzone. He says, what do you think about GW making the new 9th a launch set instead of a starter set? I think it's interesting, because I think what they learned from what was it called again? Necromunda Dark Uprising, is that they can do these kind of sets that people will buy. So basically, what they're doing is, it costs a fortune. In a much the way it costs £250,000 to make a new toilet roll design, you can imagine how expensive it is to make new kind of molds and sculpting and everything for a new model. Then put it in a kind of context that the entire starter box, or the new launch box, is all new models. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to recover that investment cost as quickly as possible. So the best way to recover that investment cost is to shift loads of those models as quickly as possible. So the best way to shift those models is to put them into a box. Now the problem is they then want to charge full price for those models down the line. Otherwise, everybody just keeps buying the starter box, breaking them down, selling the bits they don't want, and not buying those models in individual packs. So what they're doing is, instead of doing it as a starter box, which will always be around, a bit like Dark Imperium was, they are now doing it as a launch box. And essentially, once it's sold, like once it's sold out, it's sold out. Now I think if you want it, you'll be able to get it. I don't think they're going to be in short supply. I think that if they are, I think the coronavirus thing might have impacted it slightly. But essentially, I don't think they're going to be in particular short supply. If you want one, you'll be able to get one. But if you're tempted, I wouldn't be hanging around 12 months to see if they're still around, for example. And I think what they'll do is, at some point, they'll then have kind of entry points, a bit like the first strike sets, which will have like maybe just kind of like standard push fit Marines in and stuff like that. So I can see why they're doing it. It's going to have a limited edition rule book, which has got a different cover on it, a little bit like what they do with the subscriber versions of White Dwarf, where there's no branding on the front cover. So yeah, I think that by calling it a launch box, they can push the price up a bit. Because if it's let's say for argument's sake it was £140, people would say that's way too expensive for a starter box. Like who's going to get into the hobby paying £140 for a starter set? But they haven't called it a starter set. They've called it a launch set, and they're saying it's aimed at basically like existing hobbyists and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's quite a smart marketing move. Will they sell out? 100%. Will people then go out and buy just like the normal packs of it? Yeah. I mean, how many people bought the original Dark Imperium sets to get like Marines and stuff out of them, or to get the Death Guard out of them and sell the other half? How many people buy the Warcry sets, sell the rule book, sell the miniatures and keep the terrain? It's what people do with the Games Workshop starter sets. So I think they're cottoning on to that, and I think they're realising that actually they're kind of almost, they're losing sales through it, like down the line. So Vincent saying Vanguard Power Dice are regular D8. Are they D8s? I kind of forgot about it. It's been so long since I've played now. Bloody hell, D8s. VJ saying smashed it with a brush soap, but I tried giving it a soak in the Winsor & Newton liquid. You can try brush cleaner as well, mate. That might do it. In his own saying it was a starter set like Dark Imperium, I'd have ordered it straight away, but now I have to make a decision whether to wait and see. I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure if it makes any difference to me. If I'm interested in it, I'll pre-order it the same way I would have done, the same way I did do with the Dark Imperium one, and then did nothing with it for 3 years. I think if financially I think it's the right price, if I think it's cheap enough, then I'll buy it regardless. It doesn't really matter whether it's a launch set or not. So I think the only difference being is I won't hang around and wait, but then I wouldn't have waited anyway. So I'm kind of torn with it because I can see what they're doing. I just don't think there's that many people who are thinking, if people are genuinely interested in it, I don't think there's a lot of people saying, oh, I'm really interested, I think I'll wait 6 months and see if I still want to play it then. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just one of those things. If you want to play it, you'll play it, you'll pick it up. And if you don't, then regardless of whether it's a starter set or a launch set, I don't think will really influence your decision. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Who's on the table says full marks for giving it a go. Most would love to do it, but might not have the balls to try. I'm not sure I would. Yeah, being short of kind of like, what's the words I'm looking for? I'm not frightened. I mean, essentially, I've gone at this with my eyes wide open. It's not like I've just dove in head first and went like, "Oh shit, I hope this works," kind of thing. Like there is a business plan in place. Like I spent 6 months literally saving every single penny that I earned, to basically build up a buffer of cash to give me enough time to make a good go of it and not have to be earning the right level of money from day one, if you like. So there's a whole business plan behind it. It's not like I've just kind of went, I think I'll give it a go and see what happens. So I'm not like nervous about it or such. At the end of the day, the stuff that's out of my control is convincing people to come on board and support it. Really, that's the difficult bit. I can make videos. I can do content. I can live stream every day. I can make 10 videos a week if I wanted to. All of those things are in my control to do those kind of things. The bit that's out of my control is trying to get people to support it. And I'm doing it in a different way because I could, in theory, I could just say, right, I'm charging companies now to review their games. I'm going to take a payment to do every single one. And then that's potentially a more sustainable business model because the more views I get, the more subscribers I get, the more companies want to advertise with me and all that kind of stuff. However, ethically, it doesn't really sit right with me. I don't like when I watch other channels that are being paid for their opinions, and that doesn't sit ethically with me, which is why I've tried to do something different. But the difference is it increases the risk. But the folks that are supporting me now and have kind of supported me for a while have kind of given me the confidence that actually I think that as long as I can keep growing over time naturally just by the fact that I've been around longer and I've got more videos and all kind of stuff, As long as a percentage of those new people that come on board then come on board with the Patreon and understand what I'm trying to achieve, then I think the whole thing works. So yeah, that's why it'll take 12 months to kind of see whether that bears fruit, or am I still sitting here in 12 months time with just shy of 100 Patreons kind of thing. So yeah, it's exciting times though. Exciting times. Thankfully, my wife's hugely supportive of it as well, and she like obviously quite wise business wise kind of thing. She's got a good business head on her shoulders, working in sales obviously. So and she's more about like kind of sales strategy. She doesn't like kind of necessarily negotiate the prices and stuff like that or sell things. She's more about building like kind of like 3-year business plans and working out kind of like long-term contracts and reciprocal business contracts and stuff. So like she knows what she's doing. I've worked in corporate kind of business for years. I've worked in kind of in marketing and stuff. So it's not like I don't understand the basics of it, if you like. Now I just have to make it work. So, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. What's been interesting, the thing that's really surprised me, is how few companies basically want to send their products out for review. I found that really strange. The amount of companies that I've contacted and have just said like, oh, you know, it's I mean, and to be fair, I am telling them I'm doing this for free, basically. So it makes me wonder one of two things. It makes me wonder, are companies happy to pay for reviews? And I mean that in the way that, are they happy to pay for favourable reviews? Which is why they don't necessarily want to send them out to certain people who don't want to, who want to give an opinion, who want to give a real opinion, which kind of makes it interesting. Or is it purely the fact that they're tied into deals? Are they sending certain channels review stuff because they've paid upfront for kind of like for airtime, if you like, or are they just so basically intent on not engaging? Some companies have been great, like Mantic, for example, have kind of reached out. They've actually sent me something back end of last week, which is something that I can't talk about yet. It's kind of it's something new that's coming up. So I've got my hands on that to have a look and do some content on that for when the launch time's ready. So some companies have been great. Other companies are just, I found it quite strange. Because it's not like I'm asking them to pay me. All I'm asking them to do is send me a copy of their product and I'll review it. And I'm quite happy to send it back afterwards as well. It's not like I'm asking for it. It's not like I'm saying send me free stuff. You know, I just want free stuff and then I won't do anything with it. So yeah, that's the bit I found quite interesting. I wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest. And all that means is I have to buy some stuff to make content. But then what I'll do is I'll only buy the stuff that I'm 100% interested in. Where if companies sent me stuff, I can give honest opinions on stuff that I potentially might not have picked up and might actually surprise myself with. Paul saying, I thought. Peter was saying I was very enthusiastic at the reveal, 9th edition, but getting less so as I wait for the release. I think that's sometimes what happens, isn't it? Sometimes you can just get a little bit, sort of jump the ship a little bit or jump the shark. But I think they're doing all right with it. I'm quite enjoying reading the bits of rules that come out every day. I was interested to read about the Overwatch stuff today. Dancing, he's just got a combat mats. They look really nice. I'll have to check them out later. Phil saying I missed out not getting the Chaos Vanguard box set. Really regret that badly. Will not be missing out on Indomitus. James is in as well. Good evening, James on. Says greetings all. Just got back from the pool for the afternoon. Oh, nice, mate. We'll have a play back later while he's painting. Crabby saying the Sisters box really set the tone for what they were going to do moving forward. I like it, but it put me in a difficult position financially. Do I wait and buy the starter or buy the box? It depends what you want. I only buy it if you want the stuff that's in it. Like in the past, it used to be just, oh well, it's such good value. You get the rule book in there. It's like you know, I'm not really bothered about the factions that's in there, but it's worth it. I can always sell them on or whatever. You can do that if you want. Like it'll be worth it to buy the box and sell the minis and just keep the rule book. Like you'll make your money back that way, I think. So for me, it's an easy call for me personally. Hodgenda says the GW Star collecting boxes are more better to get into hobby than their big boxes. Yeah, I think they do, mate, to be fair. Tony's saying, what dice does 40k use? Just uses D6, mate. Peter saying the starter sets can be a little imitating. You get quite a lot of stuff in there, don't you? David saying, heck yeah, live stream every day. Do you know what it is, mate? I quite happily probably live stream every day. But the problem is the way YouTube works is it penalises you. I'm going to just have a bit of a rant now. So I've been doing some testing lately. You might notice that I've been releasing 2 videos on a day sometimes to see what happens. I've been releasing videos on a Thursday to see what happens. I've done a video that's been a what's it called? Like I'll just get rid of this lamp a second. I've been doing a video that was a premiere to see what happens. I've been releasing videos on a Friday. I've been releasing videos on a Saturday or a Sunday. And essentially what I've found is if you release 2 videos on the same day, one of those videos will die without a trace. One of them will get views. The second one basically just gets buried. It's like they choose one of those 2 to send out, like to subscribers and to share to people. So one of them seems to die and the other one seems to do all right. Then what I've found is when a video does start getting recommended, when it starts getting shared out, I can see that kind of spike. I can see that climb starting to come. And then as soon as I release another video, that climb drops off. And it's as if YouTube's going, this video is doing all right. Let's start sending it out to subscribers. Let's start sharing it a little bit wider. Oh, he's got a new video. Forget about the last one. Let's see what happens with the new one. So I've been purposefully playing around with it to see kind of what works best for me. And what like this week, what I found was if I do the Monday night live stream, I seem to get the peak of those views on the Monday it goes live and the Tuesday while people are catching up and stuff. Into the Wednesday, we do another Wednesday stream, so I get another spike again. So you'll see the graphs on my views kind of like a sawtooth type thing. Is it kind of climbs, starts to drop off, it spikes again as my next live stream goes live. I get a bit of carryover from those views. The Wednesday one's not so much because it's not like a kind of topic one. So that's when I release the video on a Thursday. And the idea being, if I release it on a Thursday, it gives it Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday as a bit of breathing space to see what YouTube does with it, to see what viewers do with it, to see what subscribers do with it. And I've seen that the video on a Thursday does better if I then leave it to give it some breathing space. So the videos that I kind of put more time and editing and filming into, I'm better off releasing them kind of Thursday, Friday and giving them a few days of breathing space. If I release videos every single day, one, my subscribers will not watch them all because they'll just go, oh, there's too much here, I can't watch all of this kind of stuff. So then I basically split my views between videos, if you like. So for example, I might get exactly the same number of views every day that I'm getting now on average, but they'll just be split between videos. So instead of me doing this, like do this hobby hangout tonight, and the people that have missed it might decide to do a bit of hobby tomorrow, and they'll tune in tomorrow and kind of just watch it back while they're hobbying. Where if I stream tomorrow, they wouldn't watch today's, they would just watch tomorrow's. So whilst it's technically possible to release a video every day, it's not really the best thing to do because I'm better off making a video every day and keeping some back and stacking them up to kind of release them on a gradual weekly basis. Because I mean, people like like Guerrilla Miniature Games, people like what they call Beast of War on tabletop, they're releasing like multiple videos a day. There's no way that anybody's sitting watching all of the videos they make. And then as complete contrast, you've got like Uncle Atom who does one video every week on a Friday, and then he does a live stream every other Sunday. So he's doing like 4-6 videos a month and getting thousands of views because it gives people a chance to kind of catch up and watch them. So whilst streaming every day is in my control and I could do it, it's different to Twitch. Twitch viewers will come back and watch every day. YouTube viewers tend to watch when they've got some time. And if I've done 10 videos that they haven't watched, very few of my subscribers will put the time in to go back and catch up on 10 videos. So that's what at the minute, while I've got the time and the kind of the money to play around and see what works, that's kind of what I'm doing at the minute. So I haven't like kind of fixed on a proper schedule yet for that exact reason. The Man Among Us says, man, I want GW to come back strong with revamp to conventional dwarf army. Big beards, hammer shields, and less exposed flesh. Yeah, I know what you mean about the exposed flesh. The Fire Slayers don't do themselves any favours, do they? Right, this one's I think this is about as done as I want to do for this one. I'm going to put a little bit more of that light pink onto the muscle at the front here. Just to lighten that bit up here a little bit, I think. And then we'll call that one done for tonight, I think. You see what I mean about the kind of almost cartoony highlighting on the trousers and stuff? Like, it's not really coming from a light source. It's almost just there to kind of to really make it pop a little bit. So take that one off. And we'll finish off this one now. The wash is dried on this one. I think I like the red handle on that other one, so we'll do a red handle on this as well. 20 Cheese the Krabby, 20 40k starters, new rulebook and models. I got dice. What else is needed? Basically, a tape measure, mate. Essentially, what the new set will come with kind of the stats for the models that are included inside that new box set. However, if you want to expand the game further, you will need to buy a codex at some point. So expect, if you're not familiar with GW games, basically each army gets their own army book. So you'll see that coming out probably very quickly afterwards. So yeah, be prepared for that really. Let me just do this. Get this kind of red gem on the front of this. For some reason, I like the way the red stands out against this kind of bluey green stuff. It just really seems to pop a little bit. That's the red done there. Tim's saying second that. I've got a disappointed army I use for another fantasy game. All GW got dwarves, not the balloon or fire chaps. Tony needs to join us or plenty of tape measures. Yoakum says, it's been nice painting with you as usual. Good night, folks. Good night, Yoakum. Thank you very much. Boots on the table, it says full marks. Too many people change what they're doing when they get big and forget what got them there. Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. I mean, it took me a while to kind of realise exactly what the best way to do it would be. But once I kind of realised that it's why I do these kind of streams. Like these streams, and I've said this before, these streams won't net me kind of thousands of views. I don't make any money like from ad revenue on this kind of stuff. These are the kind of streams that are about building community and keeping the community coming back and giving a place for people to hang out and come together and hobby and stuff. So for example, like my Monday streams do about 1,000 views, which for a live stream is not too bad. If I talk about GW stuff, they might get a few more views. These Wednesday ones tend to do about 500 views, something like that. But so views wise, they're not doing fantastic. However, as a portion of the community, if 10% of that 500 then go on to be a Patreon, then that's that's 50 Patreons basically. And that's like kind of, so over time as it grows, if those 500 views go to 600 views and 10% go on to be a Patreon at some point in the future, then that's what these kind of like these community things are about really. But yeah, it's too early to kind of see whether it works. The concept works and the business model works. It just depends on whether people support it long term or not, and whether the novelty wears off after a period of time, and it's hard to see whether I mean, things are growing at the minute. Don't get me wrong. Since I started doing this, my views are up, and my watch time's up, and my subscribers are up, and all that kind of stuff. But at the minute, it's hard to tell whether that's a consequence of lockdown and people being bored and stuff. Like once people can get back out again and start going places, these Wednesday night ones might just completely die off. Nobody might want to stay in on Wednesday and kind of come and sit and hang out and paint. I have no idea, so it's all early days at the moment. Krabby said, I want all the stuff, man. Christian saying, yeah, when you released the 2 airbrush videos, I got recommended video 2 and not the first. Yeah, that's exactly my point, mate, yeah. Busey saying, live stream every night, mate, I'll be in if I can. Tony saying started dancing stream. Crowley saying, how does exactly one slate a fire? With water, I'd assume, mate. Deb saying, does YouTube penalise you if you upload and schedule your videos too far in advance? I heard somewhere that it did, so I wondered if you'd noticed that. No, I've not heard they do. They actually even recommend, so once you get monetized, where being monetized essentially means that you can earn money from YouTube ad revenue. So once you get monetized, you can, when your video gets uploaded and it goes live, they basically do a check on it, which is basically a computerized check to see whether you've got any kind of like profanity in it, anything that's sensitive to kind of to younger people, whether it's got any nudity in it, whether it's got any like kind of violence in it. They do this kind of computerized check, and if there's anything that they're suspicious about, they basically demonetize your video, and you can make a manual appeal. But the problem is that by the time you make that manual appeal, that initial kind of boost of views that a video gets has gone. So basically, by the time they review it and say, "Oh yeah, but definitely, you were right, we were wrong. There's nothing bad in your video," you've lost all that kind of you've lost all those that ad revenue that you could have been getting. So what they recommend you do is that you upload the video and schedule it a few days in advance, and that gives the computer a chance to check your video out, and then gives you a chance to kind of ask for a manual review should it come up before it goes live and you start getting views on it. So they actually advise you to do that when you get monetized. Then the longer you've been monetized, I'm in a position now where I can kind of self-police my videos because they trust, because I've been uploading for so long and regularly, and I've not had any kind of content strikes or anything like that. My account's in good standing, and they allow me to kind of self-police now. So if I tell them that this is safe for people to watch, they don't even put it through a check anymore now, because I've got like a record of having kind of, not necessarily family friendly, but certainly nothing controversial in my videos, which kind of speeds that process up now. But yeah, I sometimes schedule them up to a week in advance, but no, I've not seen any problems with it being penalised. Boots on the Table is saying, is it better to stick to a schedule for videos and streams? People used to say it was, but I'm not sure if it's still true. Technically, it still is. I mean, so for example, I always do a Monday night live stream, and I almost always do a Wednesday night painting stream. And I guess the people in the chat tonight, probably the proof of the pudding, they always know that I'll be streaming on a Monday and a Wednesday. So even if they don't get the notification, they know, oh, it's Monday night, Andy will be doing his stream at the same time every week. So that it's like kind of turning up to watch your kind of a TV show that you're looking forward to or whatever, if you were looking forward to it. I think when it comes to videos in general, as long as you're kind of semi-regular, so it doesn't necessarily need to be a video every Wednesday or a video every Friday or whatever, but if you get into a kind of a pattern that says, I upload it once a week, and one week it's on a Monday and the next week it's on a Friday or something like that, that's not the end of the world. But if you say I upload every week and then you don't upload for a month, and then you do 2 videos in 2 days and then you don't do anything for 2 months, basically what happens is your subscribers never really know when to expect stuff from you. So some of them will keep going back and checking. Like you folks will know that YouTube doesn't always tell you. Like even when I'm going live, if you clicked notification buttons, even then sometimes YouTube doesn't tell you I've gone live. So basically what happens is if they don't tell you that there's a new video up and you don't go and check it, essentially basically that's when kind of you get what's called dead subs, which is basically channels that are subscribed to you but they're just not watching your stuff. So keep to some kind of a schedule is really, really important, but it doesn't need to be kind of set hard and fast in stone. I would say for live streaming, it's pretty important, but for general videos, as long as you're kind of semi-regular, I think that's good enough these days. Krabby saying, I thought I'd normally schedule 2 or 3 days before. Krabby says, why is the guy using a hammer? Oh, I don't know what it was. Yeah, just upload them. Don't worry about it. As long as you upload them and either put them to private, the only time it causes a problem is if you put them, it's not private, it's something else. Actually, private might harm them because technically they are live to be viewed then. If you schedule them, it's fine, it's okay. Tony says, what game do you reckon you'll get play first when you can play with a real life human? I think it depends on who that real life human is, mate. I'm less worried about what the game is and more about just I wanna get a game played. But to be honest, the way things are going, I might have my Kings of War army finished by the time lockdown ends. So it might be a game of Kings of War. I might just kind of ease in with a game of Warcry because it's dead simple. I'll probably have my 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 Dead Zone terrain all painted up as well by then. I did a little bit more work on that today. So I might actually have a game of Dead Zone. I don't know, mate. I honestly not that sure. To be honest, the way things are going, it might be 40k. So I don't know. Mate. VJ saying, really enjoy my painting break. Now I've finished my mini swap. Now to figure out what to paint next, I should probably finish that Tau Devilfish. It's been on my desk for 2 years. Krabby saying the answer to this is better be 40k with Krabby. There you go, mate. I did mention 40k. I don't want to have a game of 40k yet though until the 9th edition rules are out. Now there's so many changes I'm starting to hear about. I don't want to learn one thing and then have to relearn it again. VG saying he's just got a notification his printer's on its way. A nice one. Peter saying, is that when you're going to sneak in a news show? Krabby saying it only gets his heart out on streams. I own 7. Don't lie, Krabby. You'd get a second account for that. Harjinder thinks, I notice YouTube only notifies me the top 3 YouTube channels I watch. So depending on what videos I've been watching recently, I get those notifications. Yeah, so what it does is, if it knows you're watching certain channels or certain like videos, it will tell you that there's more coming from that channel. If you've not watched the channel in ages, it stops sending you those notifications because it thinks you're not interested in them. And it uses that kind of information to know when it should push videos out or not. So yeah, that's why it does that. Vincent saying, when creating videos that are timeless to an extent, you can pre-produce them, record 10 videos so you have a buffer, and then you can release them weekly or bi-weekly. Yeah, that's exactly it, Vincent. So if it's something like a review, it's kind of time sensitive. There's no point me reviewing something now that's a brand new game coming out and then not release it for like 3 months. It kind of misses the boat. However, like videos like I did the other day, which was like the tabletop standard doesn't exist video kind of thing. Those are the kind of things that I can record and leave them in the bank for when I've got like, I want to have a week off or something like that. So I've got some videos in the bank, that kind of stuff. That's definitely it. What you also tend to find is those kind of videos do well longer term because they get searched. So like if you can go into the YouTube Studio app, it tells you basically where you're getting your views from. And I get quite a bit of views from like YouTube searches and stuff like that, and from Google search, where people are searching for a certain topic, and then it's recommending my video as part of that search. And a lot of that is crafted in how you title your videos and stuff as well. Davidson, YouTube's decided I don't want to know about tabletop minions anymore, despite my notification settings. Do you watch his videos every week, David? Because if you don't watch his videos every week, that's why it stopped notifying you. Yeah, Vincent's just kind of saying what I was just saying there. Nobody cares about a new release 6 months after the fact, yeah. Deb says, I need to sleep now. Off to say good night. Thank you, Debs. Appreciate you coming in tonight. And everyone's saying good night to Debs. Wow, is that a time? 11:30? Wow, let's see how we're doing with this one. I'll do a little bit more on here, and then we'll call it a night. I didn't realise it was that late, folks. Just been quite enjoying just sitting, hanging out, and just get my paint on. But yeah, I mean, so for example, like how my channel's doing at the minute. So in order to get monetized, you need 1,000 subscribers, and you also need 4,000 hours of watch time in a 12-month period, which sounds like unbelievable amount of kind of like watch time. However, my channel's at the point, because I'm doing like live streams and stuff as well. Last month I did 5,000 hours of watch time. And essentially that means that for every day there was a week's worth of viewing of my videos. So like those are the kind of numbers that like is encouraging. Like subscriber numbers, it might not be going up as fast as I would like, and views might not seem necessarily kind of like huge by some standards, but I'm getting a lot of watch time. People are watching my videos, but they're watching a lot of it. So for example, something like this, like how long we've been going, 8:30 till 11:30. People who tend to watch this stuff will just put it on as in the background, almost like a podcast type thing, and they'll sit and watch it all really. So that helps. That's helping my channel to get pushed on as well. So anyway, that's a bit of YouTube chat. You understand how it all works. David saying night haunt related things is my channel's main search. That's why they tell you should try and niche down. So when everybody was telling me like, oh, you're trying to cover too many different topics, your channel will never grow. You shouldn't do live streaming. Live streaming kills your channel. All that kind of stuff. Like that's why my channel is different. Mine is not about sort of doing the latest stuff. It's not about appealing to like getting mass views. It's about making the videos that the community want to see. It's almost like the community is the number one part of it. And then basically what I'm doing through YouTube is marketing to that community and trying to market to people that are not part of the community yet to come and join the community. That's why mine works slightly differently. David saying he watches religiously every Friday a back rep and live show. A lot of the time I have to watch the live shows later. I tell you what I'd say, mate. If you go into your settings, where you click on notifications, where you click on the bell icon, there's a setting in the bell icon which basically says like notify me sometimes, notify me all the time. So if anybody wants to go in and check that for my channel as well, that would be appreciated. But yeah, it's weird the way it works. There are some channels I never get notifications for, and there's other channels that I get notifications for even when I've like not watched the videos in a while. It just seems so random. That's probably a bit harsh. We'll try this one. So a little bit of Necron compound now, which is a really nice bright silver. And we're just going to dry push that on the armor here and on the hammer. Just get a bit more on there. Yeah. So, folks, what are you up to tomorrow? Who's at work? Who's got a day off? Who's still furloughed and being at home? You got plenty to do tomorrow. Who's doing a bit of hobby? Who's getting a game in? All that kind of shebang. Right, that's that bit done. Right, what was I going to do next? I need that brown again, that Gothor brown. We'll just highlight up on the boots a little bit. Luke's got more kitchen covers to do. I'll just say tonight, folks, as well, while I think on as well, if any of you are looking for some new channels to tune into, please do check out Krabby Vision, who's in the chat tonight. Please do check out Standard Tabletop as well, also in the chat tonight. David, what's the name of your channel again? I know you're saying you're catching up. What's the name of the channel that you've got? Because I'm terrible with names. I'm good with faces. I'm terrible with names. So please do go and check those out. Might as well give a little bit of community love to the folks. And just finish off these little bits, and then I think we'll call it a night. And that to me, folks, is not too bad a night. I've kind of painted 2 hero models, which I've got no idea how many points they are, to be fair. I'll have to check tomorrow, but that'll I'm sure that'll take me to 250 points for this month. Gives me a bit more breathing space. I've got my Brock Riders that are built up. They need priming. I've got my, what they're called, Earth Elementals. They're built up. I've done all the gap filling on those. They just need priming as well. So, yeah. Starting to come together. Tony saying, yeah, don't forget Debs. Yeah, I mentioned Debs actually on the Monday Night Live as well. And she very kindly said thank you. But no, it's what I was saying on Monday night. Basically, is that I don't allow people to kind of advertise in the Facebook group, because I don't want the Facebook group to become just spammed with video links. But that doesn't mean that I'm not massively supportive of the people in the community who are starting to go on their own, because it's hard work, man. It's hard work starting out on a YouTube channel. So yeah, good luck to anybody. And if anybody needs any advice, or if I can help in any way, you know, don't hesitate to ask. People helped me when I first started, so I'm just paying it forward basically. So, all right, folks. So I think that's kind of where I'm gonna leave it. I need to put snow on the bases of these, which I'll do tomorrow. VJ saying, what's Deb's channel called? It's called Deb's Worth. I can't remember now. Top of my channel. Let me find my list of stuff in my subscription list, and I'll tell you what it's called. Buy it slow tonight. Subscriptions. Right. We've got Debsworth Hobby Studio. That's the one. Thank you very much, Tony. Krabby Vision's name is Krabby Vision. He says, got your hobby covered. Between us, we all stream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Exactly, mate. David Moffat's is Axe Tabletop Gaming. Rolls off the tongue. Thank you very much, mate. Boots on the Table with Dom saying, thanks for the chat. You're in the inside. See you again. Thank you very much, mate. Hope to see you again soon in another live chat. And who else did I mention? And yeah, Tabletop Standard we mentioned as well. His channel is Tabletop Standard. So I think with that, folks, we'll call it a night. That's basically where we've let me put it back on and I'll show you what we've actually, if I go to this one. So this is where we got to tonight. We've painted this guy. We've painted this guy. And I'll probably do a little bit of tidy up, maybe a little bit of dry brushing on the beard just to brighten it up on the king one there on the right. And I'll put the snow on the base and stuff tomorrow, which is why I've not really spent too much time on the base and on them. I'll probably do a little bit of dry brushing, I think, on here. Picked out a hammerhead, maybe with silver. But yeah, pretty much done, I reckon. That'll do me for tonight. So, folks, thank you very much for coming in tonight. Thank you very much, Tony, as well, for your very kind donation tonight. Thank you to Arnold for his donation. Thank you to the Welsh Wanderer, joined as a member tonight as well. Hugely appreciated. And where are we up to here? BJ's saying, just found your I'm David Moffat video. Very sexy, mate. Nice one. Right, take care, folks, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month. And there is lots of different tiers and bonuses, which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.